Chapter 18. In the vast sky, a white-clothed woman was standing on a slender white sword. The woman did not wear any makeup. She was extremely beautiful. Her figure was slim and her black hair fluttered like a waterfall. Her facial features were exquisite and perfect. Her eyebrows were light, her skin was snow white, and her lips were red. Her flawless cheeks were crystal clear like jade. She was like a holy and noble fairy from the ninth heaven. She was not tainted by the mortal world. It seemed that anyone who looked at her would be blasphemous. The surrounding flowers and plants lost their color. Even the sun and the moon were dim. Stunning. No matter which man looked at her, their heart would palpitate and their soul would be taken away by her. Su-yun took a deep breath. Kacha. The box containing the heavenly crystal was opened. An astonishing and proud aura spread out in all directions like a blooming lotus. The aura blew on Su-yun's robe. It removed the sword aura effect on his body and dispersed his concealing powder. The aura wrapped around him tightly, almost like a cocoon. The fairy-like woman saw this. Her snow-white face was covered with frost. She shouted from the sky, "Quickly stop! Otherwise, die!" However, Su-yun turned a deaf ear to her. The exquisite box had become dim. Inside the box, the black stone suddenly bloomed with a dazzling seven-colored light. An inexplicably powerful aura overflowed from the stone and squeezed Su-yun's aura. He could not help but take a few steps back. His hand that was holding the box trembled wildly. It seemed that in the next second, the box would fly into the sky. He tensed his nerves and held on to this aura. "Senior, how do I use it?" Su-yun asked. "Imprint it on your chest." Su-yun did not hesitate and grabbed the heavenly crystal. The heavenly crystal was in his hand. It was as if he was holding a living creature. It trembled wildly and constantly swayed, as if it wanted to rush out of Su-yun's grasp. Su-yun used all of his strength to hold it tightly and did not let it escape. Then, Poochie, the heavenly crystal was smashed, chirp. The moment it touched his chest, it quickly melted like ice. In the blink of an eye, it was submerged. And in an instant, a dark light with Su-yun as the center went straight to the sky. The scene was grand and magnificent, and it was like Pangu splitting open the heavens and the earth. The surrounding sand and stones began to shake, as if they were being controlled by some kind of power. The ground where the black light bloomed was also dyed pitch black. When the fairy-like woman saw this, her face became dignified. She whispered, "Rumor has it that the heavenly crystal is a part of the heavenly domain's divine weapon. It contains a supreme divine power. I didn't think it would have such an amazing aura." Su-yun's face was covered in perspiration. At this moment, he was enduring endless pressure. The power that erupted from the heavenly crystal seemed to fill his entire body. It was as if a large spirit spring had appeared in his chest. A large amount of profound spirit chi surged out. The spirit spring would never dry up. The human's bones, blood vessels, and internal organs were all covered by a golden gas. His eyes turned red and yellow, and the heavenly crystal on his chest fused into a golden mark. A thick and inexhaustible power was stored in every part of his body. In the blink of an eye, he was reborn, shedding his cocoon and becoming a butterfly. Power. He could clearly feel it. It was like the state of a hungry and tired person after eating and sleeping enough. Speed, strength, chi, senses, and the proficiency in controlling the profound spirit chi had increased to a terrifying height. A storm of chi surged over, blowing the fairy back several times. The heavenly crystal is really a treasure. You, with such a low cultivation level, can actually use it. However, do you think you can beat me? With your low cultivation level, you can't display its formidable strength. You can't compete with me, obediently surrender. The fairy did not dare to delay any longer. With a cold shout, the white sword under her feet turned into a snow-white lightning. In a blink of an eye, she rushed towards Su-yun. The sword aura swept over like 1,000 eagles swooping down. It made people's hair stand on end. Su Yun stared at the white light. He felt that his eyes were many times sharper than before. Suddenly, he lifted the rusted sword and covered the sword with his profound spirit chi. Then, he rushed towards the direction of the sword. Countless profound spirit chi was shaken. It was like a huge wave. The sword was heavy. Dong! The rusted sword unexpectedly hit the white sword. The two swords collided. The rusted sword was covered with profound spirit chi. It was incomparably tough, but it was not a match for the white sword. In an instant it turned into powder. However, the sword was endowed with endless power. It did not dissipate. Bang! The white sword was unexpectedly not a match for the fierce and overbearing chi. It shook crazily. The fairy was forced to retreat again and again. Her footsteps were difficult to stabilize. Seeing this, Su Yun's heart shivered. He did not hold back. Although the sword was broken, he still rushed over with his bare hands. His strong fist fiercely hit the fairy's head. With this hit, the brain would burst and the head would be smashed. However, the fairy's speed was so fast that it made people speechless. Obviously, his fist was about to touch her body. In a flash, the fairy disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already behind Su Yun. Dong! The fist fell and hit the ground. In an instant, the earth shook and rocks splashed. The thick, profound spirit chi on the fist was like a bag of water splashing in all directions. You really don't know life from death. Seeing that Su Yun actually made her flustered, the fairy was furious. Her killing intent exploded. The white sword in her hand trembled and whizzed towards Su Yun. Just like white lightning. Puchi. The sword pierced through his body. Blood splattered. The sword intent wanted to pass through the sword to Su Yun's body. It wanted to tear his body apart. But the profound spirit chi in Su Yun's body was incomparably strong. In an instant, the sword intent was sealed. Moreover, Su Yun took a hit but did not feel the slightest bit of pain. He suddenly turned around. The vigorous, profound spirit chi burst out. It actually forced the white sword out of his body. Then, he punched the fairy's shoulder. Bang! The fairy was caught off guard. Her shoulder was hit. She was hit again and again. Blood spilled from her mouth. Su Yun took a deep breath and looked at the wound on his chest. He saw that the broken flesh was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. A strong, profound spirit chi gives a person an eternal body. No wonder so many people are obsessed with cultivation. The profound spirit chi is really incredible. Su Yun muttered. It seems that I have underestimated the power of the heavenly crystal. The fairy took a deep breath. Her eyes slightly congealed. Her expression was unprecedentedly serious. She raised the white sword in her hand. Her left hand pinched the sword seal. She closed her eyes and opened her red lips. Then, a few words came out of her mouth. Sword intent in my heart. Profound spirit chi. Broken spirit chi. Broken spirit chi. Nameless, as the chant fell, the surrounding sand and stones suddenly flew. A gust of wind blew. The sky was dim and the ground was shaking. A large number of whirlwinds rushed towards the white sword in the fairy's hand. It was as if they were attracted to it, not good. Suddenly, the sword elder shouted. Su Yun's expression revealed a trace of astonishment. He vaguely heard the sword chant. New Heng sword technique? Su Yun whispered. The entire Crescent Valley rippled with an indescribable sword intent. It was as if this place had become an absolute domain. It was a domain that belonged to her. Countless ferocious beasts in the valley were crawling on the ground, trembling. It was as if they had surrendered to the sword intent. They did not dare to have the slightest thought of resistance. Boy, quickly leave. This aura is very majestic. If I was still alive, this technique would not be a waste. But you are just a small spirit novice disciple. You must not face this technique head-on. Quickly leave. Go. The sword elder shouted. However, Su Yun did not move. This sword technique uses chi as a sword. The wider the coverage of the chi, the wider the sword's attack range. It will be difficult for me to escape. The sword elder was stunned. He did not realize that Su Yun's words were wrong. He asked, "Do you want to give up?" "Of course not." Su Yun looked solemn. Suddenly, he took a step forward. He did not retreat. Instead, he rushed towards the fairy. "Boy, what are you doing?" the sword elder asked anxiously. "Courting death." Seeing that Su Yun did not run away, but instead rushed towards her, the fairy's face suddenly became cold. She raised the white sword in her hand and slashed towards Su Yun. Boom! A huge sword shadow that was 100 feet long appeared. Then, it fell down with a magnificent momentum. This move seemed to split the entire earth. The sword shadow was like the falling sky. It covered the entire sky above Su Yun's head. The rich sword intent began to stimulate his body. His skin and tendons were like countless needles. It was very uncomfortable. "It's over. It's over. Boy, you are too impulsive. Everything is over." The sword elder cried in pain. "You are too impulsive." However, just as the sword elder's voice fell, Su Yun suddenly appeared in front of the fairy in a few steps. With a stunned expression on her face, Su Yun extended his finger and ruthlessly poked the fairy's arm. That gentle finger actually produced a miraculous effect. Oh! The fairy's whole body trembled. She retreated again and again. The white sword in her hand was not stable. Her pretty face turned pale. She spat out a mouthful of bright red blood from her lips. The huge sword shadow that was about to cut Su Yun's body suddenly disappeared. What? The sword elder was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 19. The sword aura that seemed like the end of the world suddenly disappeared without a trace. The flying sand and stones stopped. The terrifying sword aura dissipated. The sword aura did not leave a trace. It was as if nothing had happened. How is this possible? The immortal hurriedly stabilized the turbulent blood in her body and said, You actually broke my eternal sword? Who the hell are you?" But in the next second, the immortal's lower abdomen was punched again. Her whole body was shaken. Su Yun did not give the opponent a chance to breathe. He took advantage of the situation and continued to pursue. The immortal was extremely annoyed. She no longer cared about how powerful the heavenly crystal was or how despicable Su Yun was. She immediately shook her hand and clenched her white sword. She was about to use all of her strength. The sword aura that did not dissipate for long bloomed again like a storm. It swept in all four directions as if it wanted to fill the entire Crescent Valley. Su Yun's face was cold. He was not afraid. He wanted to go up again until he defeated this person. But at this time, a mournful sword whistled towards him. He only saw a light blue light beam colliding with him. He looked up and saw that in the light beam, a person holding a sword was approaching him. It was Feng Jian. It seemed like he had already defeated the sect leader. Without the heavenly crystal, the sect leader was defeated by Feng Jian so quickly. Su Yun's heart became serious. Now that he was facing this immortal, coupled with Feng Jian, even with the protection of the heavenly crystal, how could he be her opponent? I must retreat. Making up his mind, he turned around and quickly ran. Want to run? It's not that easy. Feng Jian increased his speed. With a loud roar, the sword chi rushed forward. Just as he was about to reach his target, the person who was running suddenly turned around, and a terrifying and dense profound spirit chi wrapped around an iron fist flew over. The iron fist smashed Feng Jian's protective sword chi. Ignoring his treasure, it directly hit Feng Jian's head. Dong! Feng Jian did not think that Su Yun would dare to attack him. He could not dodge and immediately ate the punch. His whole body was knocked to the ground. Crescent Valley was hit by him and shook. Feng Jian was injured. Seeing this, Su Yun's heart trembled. With Feng Jian's strength, how could he not avoid his own attack? I'm afraid, although he defeated the sect leader, he also suffered a lot of injuries. If that was the case, then it was an opportunity. Su Yun's eyes were filled with killing intent. He immediately turned around and gave up on escaping. He actually rushed towards Feng Jian. "Don't you dare hurt him!" The fairy on the other side sensed Su Yun's intentions. Her heart trembled. She never expected Su Yun to be so daring. He immediately attacked, intending to force this reckless person to retreat. However, Su Yun did not dodge. After all, there was a distance between the two of them. The fairy would not be able to help in time. He could completely smash Feng Jian's head and then dodge. At that time, as long as he was not injured, with the protection of the heavenly crystal, he would not die from the sword. However, at this moment, he felt his chest suddenly burning up. In an instant, the abundant energy in his body was like a leaking balloon, quickly dissipating. Not good, the heavenly crystal's effect is over. The sword elder cried out in alarm. Continuous effect? Su Yun was startled. You are currently using the heavenly crystal, but you are not using all of its power. After all, your cultivation is too low. It won't last long either. Hearing that, Su Yun's face darkened. If he did not have the support of the heavenly crystal, he would definitely die. Although this move could kill Feng Jian, what would happen after that? Would he still have the ability to deal with this fairy? In a split second, his brain spun and immediately, he made a decision. Su Yun suddenly changed the direction of his attack, and rushed towards the incoming fairy. Mixed with the remaining power of the heavenly crystal, his fist was like a tiger, whistling loudly. His profound spirit chi rippled out from the center of his fist. The fairy's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Her movements also showed a moment of hesitation. She did not know if she should face this attack head-on. However, in the next second, Su Yun had already seized this opportunity. He hastily turned and fled, the fairy's eyebrows wrinkled. However, she did not chase after him. Instead, she returned to Feng Jian's side, took out 2 pills, and gave them to the weakened Feng Jian. After Feng Jian swallowed it, his complexion became much better. Why not chase? Feng Jian struggled to get up and looked at the direction Su Yun fled. Right now, he is using the heavenly crystal. It is not easy to deal with him. Wait for the heavenly crystal's effect to end, then I will attack. You can find him? Yes. The fairy lightly said. She raised her delicate hand and stretched out her jade-like fingers. Looking closely, it could be seen that between her fingers, there was a very fine hair. The last trace of power was exhausted. Su Yun weakly fainted in the wilderness. When he woke up, his whole body seemed to have lost half a bit of strength. He took out some food from his storage ring and wolfed it down. Then, he lay on the ground and rested. It took him a whole day to recover. After the power of the heavenly crystal was released, it would take up to 50 days of spirit chi gathering before it could be used again. In these 100 days, the heavenly crystal was no different from a waste stone. Regarding the heavenly crystal, he did not know much about it. He only knew that it was a treasure separated from an ancient treasure. He sat cross-legged on a stone and opened the box that shielded most of the heavenly crystal's aura. He took out the heavenly crystal and carefully looked at it. This was a stone the size of a cobblestone. However, this time it was not black like before. Instead, it was gray and did not emit any aura. It was probably because the aura inside was exhausted. Even if Su Yun's body could not withstand too much power from the heavenly crystal, it would still release all of its power. After obtaining the heavenly crystal, his goal was achieved. Although this trip exceeded the time limit, it was still a great harvest. After finding the nearest town, Su Yun bought a stallion and rushed to Mirror Lake Town. Entering the Heavenly Sun auction house, it was still crowded and bustling with activity. Su Yun took a deep breath and went to the mission submission area. He opened his storage ring and looked for the crescent moon fruit. Then, he said, "Submit the mission. Please give me your mission card." The person in charge breathed a sigh of relief and lazily said. After handing over the mission card, Su Yun also handed over the crescent moon fruit. When the person in charge, Li Fei, saw the fruit, his lazy face suddenly froze. He had been working at the Sky Sun auction house for more than 10 years. During this time, he had seen the crescent moon fruit once. That fiery red fruit made him unable to forget it until now. This is? Li Fei trembled as he took the fruit. His eyes stared at it for a while. Then, he suddenly grabbed the mission card from Su Yun and looked at it. You really got the crescent moon fruit? Seeing the description on the mission card, Li Fei almost lost his voice and shouted. Please hand over the mission reward to me. Oh, okay. Li Fei immediately cheered up and quickly nodded. He took the reward and went backstage. However, he looked back 3 times as he walked. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Although Li Fei did not have any cultivation, he had met many spirit cultivators at the Sky Sun auction house. He could feel that Su Yun's cultivation was not high. But how did he get the crescent moon fruit? This person was so strange. Did he call for help? Li Fei was puzzled. After about half an hour, a spirit card with 60,000 spirit coins was handed over to Su Yun from Li Fei's hand. Su Yun took it and checked it. There was no mistake. Then, he ran to the trading area and began to choose a large pile of materials. Pills for cultivation. Fa Hua pill, Heaven Flood pill, Crystal Jade pill, Clear Heart pill. Herbs for body forging. Healing body paste, Dragon Swallow powder, Proud body powder. 1 heart tear profound skill for body refinement. 1 spring crystal pill furnace. Several materials for alchemy. And these materials for array formation. In front of a window, Su Yun was thinking while listing the materials he needed. The service staff at the window was already very busy. They were constantly using paper and pen to record the materials and constantly asking the staff behind them to prepare. The resources of the Sky Sun auction house were shared. Many items that could not be found anywhere else could be bought here. However, it was rare to see someone like Su Yun who bought so many items in one go. The people behind him were dumbfounded. How can a spirit novice disciple be so rich? People looked at each other and whispered to each other. After half an hour, out of the 60,000 spirit coins, there were only 2,000 left. His storage ring was full. Everything was ready. He left the Sky Sun auction house, mounted his spirit stallion, and galloped back to the Su family. Chapter 20. Before his rebirth, Su Yun's cultivation was not high, but in order to find out why his cultivation was slow, he traveled all over the continent. What he saw and heard was not something that ordinary people could understand, especially when he sneaked into the demon continent to find the devil sect, which broadened his horizons and made his mind more mature. It was already 2 days later when Su Yun returned to the Su family. The spirit stallion that he had rented from the shop owner was nowhere to be found, so he had to compensate the owner with the spirit stallion that he bought later. The spirit stallion that he bought from the Mirror Lake town was strong and well-developed. The shop owner was very satisfied and did not ask Su Yun to compensate for the overdue amount. Since everything was fine, Su Yun headed back to his hut. In another month, the Inner Sect martial arts competition will be held. I heard that the Inner Sect people are already arranging the martial arts field. If you don't practice now, how can you get a ranking in the competition? Do you want to wait another 3 years? On the side of the street, a rather old middle-aged woman was reprimanding a young man in front of her with her hands on her hips. The man lowered his head and did not speak. The woman's words became fiercer and fiercer. Guzzi, don't blame your mother for saying this. Look at the children of other families. Which one of them didn't train hard from a young age? I heard that as long as we are in the top 200 of the tournament, we can enter the Inner Sect. When that time comes, your father and I will be able to make a name for ourselves. But you stay at home all day and don't go to the martial field to cultivate or meditate. Will you have any future if you continue like this? Mother, getting into the top 200 is easier said than done. In every tournament, only a few of us from the outer sect were able to enter. I heard that in the last tournament, only 12 people entered the inner sect, and there were more than 7,000 outer sect disciples participating in the tournament. Do you think your son can stand out from these people? What's more, the people from the inner sect will also participate in this competition. If your son is unlucky and meets someone from the inner sect, he won't even know how he died, the young man said with a bitter face. Hearing this, the middle-aged woman was instantly enraged. She roared, "Do you not want to participate in this competition? Doggy, this is your only chance and our family's only chance. How could you say such a thing? Look at the son of the Wang family next door. He stayed in the martial arts field all day. It was said that he had already broken through to the 7th stage of the spirit novice realm. It would not be difficult for him to break through to the 8th stage. Look at you, still a 6th stage spirit novice disciple. You? Why are you so disappointing?" As she spoke, the middle-aged woman began to cry. "Mom, this is different. Uncle Wang saved up some money a few years ago and bought Wang Xing a few chi-breaking pills. Every time Wang Xing is about to break through, he takes one. That's how his cultivation speed is so fast. Look at me, have you ever given me any medicinal pills? I am now at the peak of the 6th level, but no matter how much I cultivate, there is no progress at all. Oh mother, don't even think about spirit Xian, I feel that working in the outer sect is not bad." When the middle-aged woman heard this, she cried even harder. Su Yun slowed down his footsteps. Hearing these words, he could not help but feel touched. In this world, the talent of a spirit cultivator was indeed very important, but external support was also indispensable, especially in the early and breakthrough stages. Pills, formations, and other things could sometimes play a crucial role. Triennial Internal Martial Arts Tournament? Su Yun muttered. In the Su family, once an outer sect disciple broke through to the 1st stage of spirit intermediate disciple before the age of 20, they would have the qualifications to enter the inner sect. After the age of 20, they would not be able to enter the inner sect. Usually, it would be very difficult for them to achieve anything in the future. Such people would generally give up the spirit cultivation, because even if they practiced hard, it would be very difficult to practice to a high realm. This required strength assessment. Once the assessment results were out and they met the requirements, they could enter the inner sect. But in addition to this, there was another way, and that was the Su family's Triennial Martial Arts Tournament. Participation scope: inner sect, outer sect. The number of participants is unlimited. Participation reward: the inner sect will receive substantial rewards and will provide high-level medicinal pills and profound technique. If the participant performs well, the Su family will even provide a teacher to teach the participant for 3 years. This was the most important thing. Many people had no status in the big family, and they could not enter the sect. Therefore, they had to rely on books to cultivate. This was often a headless snake model, and they would take a lot of detours. But if there was a professional teacher to guide them, they would certainly advance by leaps and bounds. Therefore, in the martial arts tournament, the number of participants from the inner sect would not be small. There was only one reward for the external participants: the qualification to enter the inner sect. Although it was simple, it was an irreplaceable reward for the outer sect. Su Yun thought for a moment, turned around, and headed towards the registration point for the martial arts tournament. The martial arts tournament was approaching, and the registration point was crowded. There were many men and women gathered there, but everyone was dressed in plain clothes. They did not have any weapons, and they looked inconspicuous. The person in charge of the registration was sent by the inner sect. Because there were very few people who could enter the inner sect through this method, this was just a formality. After all, they had to give the outer sect a chance, otherwise it would not be good if the people were to complain. Name: The person in charge of the registration did not raise his head, and lightly said, Xian Li Feng. Realm. That. Spirit novice disciple. Disciple. Sixth stage. The simple and honest man was somewhat embarrassed. The person in charge of the registration showed a trace of disdain. The man did not notice, but the other outer sect disciples behind him clearly saw this disdainful smile. Their hearts were angry, but the other party's cultivation was higher than theirs. Their status was also several times higher than theirs, so they could only swallow their anger. No one said anything. The person in charge continued to arrogantly receive the next registrants until it was Su Yun's turn. Name. Su Yun. Su Yun? The person in charge raised his head and looked at the person in charge. Su Yun slightly narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in charge. Suddenly, a familiar face flashed in his mind. You are the one in charge of the inner sect warehouse, Su Dahai? Su Yun suddenly said. Oh, young Master Su, so you still remember me? It's really an honor. Su Dahai sneered. Su Dahai was 5 or 6 years older than Su Yun. He had been in charge of the inner sect warehouse for a long time. However, when the warehouse was being checked, the deacon found that dozens of balanced pills were missing. Everyone knew that this was Su Dahai's private embezzlement, but no one would say anything because Su Dahai was under Su Guimu's protection. However, when Su Guimu madly swindled Su Yun's money, Su Yun's resentment towards Su Guimu soared to the heavens. Coincidentally, Su Yun encountered this matter. In order to retaliate against Su Guimu, Su Yun exposed this matter. Naturally, Su Dahai was unlucky and lost his job. Otherwise, he would not have been sitting in the sun and wind for a few days. I did not expect that the dignified young Master Su would actually participate in such a competition. But, as a person who was expelled from the inner sect to the outer sect, do you still have the face to sign up? What? Could it be that you can't bear the hardships of the outer sect and miss the inner sect? Su Dahai said very loudly, deliberately letting everyone around him hear. Although Su Yun was expelled from the inner sect, many people had not seen Su Yun before. After Su Dahai shouted, everyone began to understand. Whispers began to ring in each other's ears. So he is Su Yun. Is he the waste of the inner sect? In the inner sect, with such excellent conditions, he actually did not enter the 7th stage of the spirit novice realm at the age of 18. Looking at his qualifications, I am afraid that he will not be able to enter the spirit intermediate realm by the age of 20. Indeed, he is a waste. This kind of trash is only born into a good family. If we were in the inner sect, we could enjoy the superior training grounds of the inner sect and the miraculous pills and materials. I'm afraid our cultivation would have already broken through to the spirit intermediate realm. Yes, we are not worse than the inner sect disciples, but we were born at the wrong time. All kinds of harsh ridicule and contempt sounded. Seeing that even the outer sect disciples were looking down on Su Yun, Su Dahai's mouth cracked open, revealing a proud smile. Boy, this time I will make you unable to raise your head in the outer sect. Su Dahai ruthlessly thought. Can I continue to sign up? Su Yun did not seem to hear the ridicule around him and just continued to speak. Of course. Seeing Su Yun's calm face, Su Dahai chuckled and immediately sat back in his seat. What? The dignified young master Su Yun actually fell into such a situation. You actually have to swallow your anger? No matter what, you were once an inner sect disciple of the Su family. Are you willing? Just as Su Dahai was about to complete the procedures for Su Yun, a clear voice came. Chapter 21. Su Yun looked over, only to see a handsome young master walking over. He was tall and straight, with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. This young master had a jade-like face and a white robe. His temperament was excellent, and the corner of his mouth hung an intoxicating smile. It made the hearts of the surrounding outer sect girls beat rapidly, their cheeks flushed, and they frequently looked over. Su Yun looked at the person who came, and a trace of doubt surfaced in his heart. The Su family was so big that he didn't know everyone, and he had never seen this person before. "Who are you?" Su Yun asked. Hearing this, Su Dahai hastily stood up and shouted at Su Yun, "What a useless piece of mud! This is the son of the main house's great elder, Su Dongfang. Su Yun, you better remember this." With that, Su Dahai bowed and smiled apologetically at the young master. "Young Master Dongfang, what brings you here?" Su Dongfang did not answer Su Dahai's question. Instead, he looked at Su Yun and then shook his head. But with a cultivation level of 7th stage spirit novice disciple, he really can't do much in the inner sect. "Let's continue the registration." Su Yun turned his head and said to Su Dahai. He ignored Su Dongfang's words. It seemed like Su Dongfang did not interest him at all. Seeing this, Su Dahai's face changed. He became anxious and shouted, "Su Yun, your attitude is correct. Who do you think you are talking to? Be careful of your life. It's time to register now, and it's my turn. My time is very precious, so please hurry up. Even if I'm not in a hurry, the people behind me are. If you continue to talk nonsense here, I'll complain to the outer sect deacon that you're slacking." Su Yun said calmly. "You." When Su Dahai heard this, his face immediately turned the color of pig liver. He stammered a few times and looked at Su Dongfang. Su Dongfang did not mind. He nodded at Su Dahai and smiled. "You have character. What brings young Master Dongfang here?" Su Yun asked Su Dahai to fill in his information on the paper. "Oh, it's not a big deal. I came here today to look for you. I have a few words to tell you." "What is it?" "I heard you're still pestering Miss Ching-er?" Su Dongfang smiled and asked. "Entangled?" Su Yun's movements stiffened, his eyebrows knitted together. The intoxicating smile on Su Dongfang's face was like a symbol that would not disappear. He continued, "Ching-er is indebted to your parents and Ching-er remembers it. After your parents left, she still sees you as a young master. Even if your cultivation is low, and you were banished to the outer sect, while she is talented and was promoted to the main house, she still treats you with respect. But I know this is not her intention. No one is willing to serve a weakling, and no one is willing to sacrifice their youth for a trash without any ambition. Do you understand? Who would be willing? Do you think that Ching-er did all this just because she was grateful and forced herself to do it?" Su Yun's heart ached as he asked softly, "Isn't that so?" Su Dongfang laughed. "Which part of you is worth her sacrifice?" Su Yun remained silent. Indeed, he did not understand Ching-er, nor did he understand why Ching-er would treat him so well. Was it purely to repay a debt of gratitude? If that was the case, then she had already taken revenge. What she had done for so many years was enough. If not, then what was she doing this for? "That's why I came to talk to you today. You want me to cut off my relationship with Ching-er. Something like that. I think I've heard these words from someone before. It seems like everyone thinks so, but I'm not that straightforward. I believe you won't agree so easily. After all, Ching-er is your only safeguard. If you don't have Ching-er, your life in the Su family will not be as peaceful as it is now." Su Dongfang looked wise as he laughed. Su Yun had offended many people in the past. Now that he was like a tiger in the plains, he was safe and sound. In fact, it was mostly because Ching-er had entered the main house. But everyone knew that Ching-er's position in the main house was not high. Thus, to those who had real power, it did not have much of an impact. "So, what do you want?" Su Yun raised his eyebrows and asked. "How about this? I'll make a bet with you," Su Dongfang said and then waved his hand. Suddenly, a tall young man walked out from behind him. The young man was about 23 or 24 years old. He had a buzz cut and his eyes were fierce like a wild wolf. His muscles were bulging, and he looked like he had explosive power. What left the deepest impression was that under his right eye there was a long scar. It was as if a small worm was covering his head, and it made people's skin numb. Su Yun could not see through his aura. He was afraid that he was a spirit intermediate disciple. Compared to Su Yun, his aura was more than twice as tyrannical. This is my brother from the inner sect. His name is Su Kwang. He will also participate in this year's martial arts competition. I heard that you like to gamble. So, how about I make a bet with you? If you can beat my brother in the competition, then I will give you 50,000 spirit coins. If you lose to my brother in the competition, then I want you to officially draw a line with Qing Air. From then on, you will no longer have any relationship with her. How about it? What if I refuse? I only need to say one word and you will be kicked out of the Su family. I only did not do this because of Miss Qing Air, but I will not tolerate Qing Air. Su Dongfang said. He was the son of the great elder. Although he did not have a real position, he held real power. It was easy for him to expel an outer sect disciple. That's good. I accept. Su Yun took over Su Dahai's competition plate and said. Hearing this, Su Dahai suddenly froze. Not only him, even the people around him were shocked. Many people kept rubbing their ears, thinking that they had heard wrong. Are you sure? Do you accept? Su Dongfang asked. Su Yun's straightforward answer made him a little surprised. Su Yun turned and left. You don't want to ask yourself what would happen if you did not meet my brother in this competition? You will not meet him. Since you came to make this bet with me, then you will arrange everything. When his voice fell, Su Yun had already left the registration square. After Su Dongfang heard this, the charming smile on his face gradually disappeared. His eyes also narrowed. It seems that this Su Yun has a better vision than I thought. But his strength is too weak. 7th stage spirit novice disciple. He can be defeated in one breath. Su Kwang said in a low voice. His voice was hoarse, but his imposing manner was like a tiger ready to attack at any time. You can't say that. Although you are very strong, you must not be careless. No matter what kind of opponent you face, you must use 120% of your strength to deal with them. Even if it is a small Su Yun, you must not neglect him. Do you understand? What I want is victory. If you cannot give me that, then you have no value. I do not need trash. Yes, young master, Su Kwang said in a low voice. Chapter 22. Returning to his hut, Su Yun closed the door. Regarding Su Dongfang's bet, he was not too concerned. After all, what he wanted was not as simple as meeting Qing Air. What he wanted was to bring Qing Air away from the Su family within these 3 years. He did not want Qing Air to repeat the mistakes of his previous life. As for the martial arts competition, he did not plan to give up. If he could enter the inner sect, it would be a great help to his own cultivation. The resources of the outer sect were too poor, there was almost nothing. However, if he wanted to rapidly improve his cultivation in a short period of time, a gradual cycle would definitely not work. Taking out the spring crystal furnace from his storage ring, he placed it in the middle of the hut. Moving the table, he took out the materials for the array and drew an array under the spring crystal furnace. Once the array was completed, he threw the materials into the furnace. Then, he continued to lie on the ground and took out a small bag of expensive golden bird phosphorus powder. He carefully placed it under the furnace and the array. Array patterns. Between every array there would be gaps in the lines. These gaps were created during the creation process and were unavoidable. And when these patterns were filled, it would strengthen the array. Filling the patterns was the most basic skill of an array master. The degree of closure of the patterns was the deciding factor for the array. If the patterns were too large, then the array's power would be mediocre. But if the patterns were completely filled, then the array's power would not only increase, but it would also be able to display the power of the array. To put it bluntly, this was an excavation of the array's potential. But filling the patterns was not an easy task. almost no array master could fill the patterns of an array to the brim. To be able to reach 90% was already a heaven-defying existence. An array master was an extremely popular occupation in the continent. Using arrays, people could produce many things. Even refining treasures could not be separated from arrays. Many experts even spent a lot of money to hire famous array masters to help them refine treasures. Because array masters had very low requirements for profound spirit chi, Su Yun had studied arrays for a period of time. However, he did not have enough money, so he did not delve too deeply into it. However, regarding the basics of arrays, he was already very familiar with them. Especially when it came to filling patterns, he could reach 70% completion. The materials needed to fill in the patterns had to contain spirit aura, and these materials were usually very expensive. This small bag of golden bird phosphorus powder, which contained spirit aura, cost Su Yun nearly 10,000 spirit coins. After working for half a day, the Crow Spirit Fire Origin formation was finally completed. Su Yun hurriedly activated the array. Crash! A burst of fiery light emerged and shot straight towards the spring crystal cauldron. The talismans inscribed on the cauldron by the talisman masters immediately emitted bursts of light, and the entire shabby house was illuminated by a myriad of colors. It was extremely gorgeous. It would take at least 7 days and 7 nights for this pot of pills to be ready. This period of time could not be wasted. Su Yun took out the pills that he had bought and began to cultivate. With the help of good medicine, his cultivation naturally advanced by leaps and bounds. In addition, his illness was cured, and his desire to cultivate for many years had been fulfilled. He was like an extremely thirsty person who had found a sweet spring, and he madly absorbed it without the slightest intention of stopping. After meditating in the house for a day, and absorbing the pills that he had bought, Su Yun ran towards the outer sex training grounds and started practicing the basic sword technique. The current him had a total of 110 spirit essences. His spirit aura was extremely fast, and his talent index was more than twice that of an ordinary person. His cultivation speed was also extremely fast. However, he did not dare to forget about his foundation. Although his mind had a lot of knowledge, his body and mind were not the same. What he needed to do was to lay a good foundation. As a result, the outer sect disciples saw the already famous young master Su Yun practicing the basic sword techniques that the outer sect disciples disdained. The most important thing for Su Yun now was to practice the sword intent. As long as the sword intent was formed, he could start practicing the first sword technique of the limitless sword arts. He could then go to the limitless sword sheath to conquer the divine sword. After a few days of meditation and hard practice, Su Yun discovered that his meridians, blood vessels, and internal organs had a thin layer of spirit aura attached to them. Body strengthening. This was the sign of breaking through the peak of the 7th stage of the Spirit Novice realm and entering the 8th stage of the Spirit Novice realm. Su Yun was overjoyed. His spirit essences had increased to more than 190, and his spirit aura was recovering at an astonishing rate. He did not dare to neglect. He took out the profound body refining technique and continued to strengthen his body and spirit aura. 10 days later, the spring crystal cauldron's first batch of pills came out. The intoxicating aroma filled the air. After cutting off the black spirit fire origin array, Su Yun opened the cauldron and took out 5 different colored bead. Divine Heart 5 pills. Green pill meridian opening. Flame pill blood circulation. Red pill heart. Purple pill bone nourishment. Black pill soul consolidation. Only the elite disciples of Blossom Heart Valley could learn how to make pills. However, to truly master this miraculous pill, one had to at least be a direct disciple or even an elite disciple. The 5 pills were complete. The next thing to do was to thoroughly absorb these peerless pills. The 5 pills were only available in Blossom Heart Valley. Of course, this was not the case. First, green pill meridian opening, producing more spirit aura. Again flame pill blood circulation, stretching the blood vessels. Blood was the most important part of the human body. Then red pill heart consolidation, calming the mind. Purple pill heart consolidation, expanding the space within the body. Finally, there was the black pill. This was the most important of the 5 superb pills. For the other 4 pills, the black pill was the finishing touch. Not only could it stabilize the soul, but it could also gather one's mind and enhance the strength and performance of one's blood, bones, tendons, and organs. It could sublimate the other 4 pills. Su Yun removed the spring crystal cauldron and continued to take out the materials from his storage ring. He made some changes to the Black Spirit Fire Origin Array. 2 hours later, the Black Spirit Fire Origin Array that was used to refine pills immediately changed to the Clear Mind Array that was commonly used by spirit cultivators. The next step was to fill in the patterns. Then he sat down and took the pill. Digestion. He followed the mnemonic chant for digesting the 5 Ultimate Divinity pill. He sat like this for 7 days. After 7 days, Su Yun focused on his body. The spirit aura in his body was endless and incomparably abundant. His spirit eyes had broken through 200, reaching an astonishing number of 230. This was close to the number of a 10th stage spirit novice disciple. Especially his physique, it was even stronger. After digesting the pill, Su Yun's whole body was like a reborn. His eyes were bright and full of spirit. His eyebrows were like swords, his bones were strong, and his body was broad. Compared to his previous sickly appearance, he was like a completely different person. However, just digesting was not enough. After digesting, he would be healthy. Through cultivation, he would be able to keep the digested things in his body and integrate them into his own body. This required training. Fortunately, the profound body refining technique could play a very good role in consolidating his body. For the rest of the days, Su Yun was immersed in body refining. As for the techniques, he did not deliberately learn them. The time was so tight that he could not practice them in a short period of time. Therefore, before the competition, he would train his body and spirit aura to the limit. A month's time was not long, but it was not short either. He still had more than 2,000 spirit coins, so he did not need to do any work for the Su family. He almost immersed himself in body refining and consolidating, almost never stopping to rest. People who were extremely hungry would desperately devour food when they obtained it. Those who thirsted for power but were unable to cultivate, when they regained the qualifications to cultivate, they would also crazily cultivate. Soon, the opening day of the Su family's inner and outer sect martial arts competition officially arrived. Chapter 23. Time. The sun rose into the sky. Su Yun put away the spring crystal furnace in his hut, removed the array, changed into clean clothes, and went out the door. On the bronze road, he could see many outer sect families walking together with their children. These outer sect young children were all dressed in clean clothes, holding swords, sticks, and spears in their hands. All of them were very excited. The parents told their children that the ranking was not important, the most important thing was to be safe. The children nodded, but it was just perfunctory. In the competition, who would not go all out? These people stopped outside the square. They could not enter. The competition square had been closed. Only the inner sect disciples and participants could enter. This time I must not miss it. My talent is poor. Before the age of 20, I will certainly not be able to reach the spirit intermediate realm. God bless me to be in the top 200. My requirements are not high. As long as I am in the top 200, I will be qualified to enter the inner sect. My ancestors bless me to not meet the inner sect's abnormal. I pray for a good ranking, God. Entering the square, the outer sect disciples gathered in 2s and 3s prayed to each other. Su Yun swept his gaze across the competition grounds, only to see that in front of the incense stand at the periphery of the plaza, there were many young men and women dressed in luxurious clothes, all equipped with treasures and weapons. These people were the inner sect disciples who came to participate in the competition. There were about 100 people. Although it was a small number, according to the trend of every tournament, all of them would probably make it into the top 200. What the outer sect disciples did not want was to meet the inner sect disciples in the competition, because it was almost equal to losing. Hey, look, isn't that Su Yun? What is he doing here? Is he also here to participate in the martial arts selection tournament? No way. He actually has the face to participate in the tournament? Didn't he just rush from the inner sect to the outer sect? What is this person thinking in his head? So shameless. Several men and women whispered to each other. Pairs of surprised, doubtful, contemptuous, and indifferent eyes wandered on him. But soon, people moved their eyes away. Su Yun's appearance gave them some topics to discuss, but it did not keep their eyes on him for too long. After all, the most important thing was the competition. Big Brother Su. At this moment, a pleasant voice sounded in Su Yun's ear. Su Yun was startled and turned to look. He saw a man and a woman jogging over from outside the square. The man and woman were dressed plainly, and their skin was slightly dark. But even so, both of them were handsome and beautiful, especially the woman. Her skin was the color of wheat, and it was extremely supple. Her waist was slender, and her breasts were bulging. Her long, inky hair was tied into a ponytail, and her facial features were very distinctive. Her pitch-black eyes were very vivid, and if her skin was a little fairer, she would also be a great beauty that would attract attention. Seeing the two of them, Su Yun's heart skipped a beat. New Moon and Star Sun? They were the outer sect disciples, Su Xian Yu and Su Xingyang. They were brother and sister, and were known as the Yuyang siblings. Their parents died early, and the two of them depended on each other for survival. When Su Yun met them, he was still in the inner sect. On that day, the Yuyang siblings were lucky enough to receive a task to work in the inner sect. Working in the inner sect was a job that the outer sect disciples fought over because it was not only easy and leisurely, but it also earned a lot of spirit coins. However, good luck did not last forever. Su Xian Yu accidentally lost a carved spirit hairpin from the steward's treasury. It was said that this hairpin was a gift from the steward to his wife, and was temporarily stored in the treasury. Although the investigation later found out that the hairpin was stolen by a servant in the government office, people did not know about it and blamed it on Su Xian Yu. Su Xian Yu was completely scared, and the steward was furious. He immediately wanted to execute Su Xian Yu. Su Xingyang constantly kowtowed to plead for mercy, but to no avail. In desperation, Su Yun appeared, and no one knew why he opened his mouth to plead for mercy. At that time, Su Yun had only lost his talent for 3 years, so many people did not lose confidence in him. The steward did not dare to offend him, so he let the two of them go. In fact, Su Yun was in a good mood at that time. On that day, he accidentally cultivated a bit of spirit power. He thought that his talent had recovered, so he was extremely happy. Therefore, when he passed by the steward's office, he said a few words and saved the two siblings, who knew that in the end, he was happy for nothing. His talent had not recovered. However, the two siblings engraved this kindness in their hearts. Su Yun remembered that when he was driven out of the outer sect, they often took care of him. Su Yun did not work and only waited for Qing Er to help him. However, Qing Er's money was limited. When he ran out of money and had no food to eat, Su Xian Yu would bring delicious food to the hut. After Su Yun left the Su family, he never saw the two again. Seeing the cute girl and the handsome boy, Su Yun's heart rippled a little. If a person knew how to repay a debt of gratitude, then he would be a worthy friend. The girl impatiently ran over and stopped in front of Su Yun. She stretched out her black eyes and looked up and down. A bright smile appeared on her face. "Big Brother Su Yun, we are relieved that you are all right. What's the matter?" Of course it was you who rushed back from the inner sect. Oh, it's that matter. We received a task from the outer sect, and went out to work for a month. Yesterday we rushed back. I didn't expect this to happen. We wanted to go and see you, but every time we knocked on your door, you didn't open it. But seeing that Big Brother Sue is fine, we are relieved. Su Xin, you laugh.
Were you worried that something would happen to me?
Su Yun asked. Xin, you hesitated, and did not know how to answer. Yes, Big Brother Sue. Although it may make you uncomfortable, we are really worried about you. The tall, dark-skinned Su Xingyang walked over and said in a slightly rough voice. Xingyang's voice was very rough. With his tall stature and thick muscles, he had the flavor of a macho man. Xin was afraid that mentioning Su Yun being driven out of the outer sect would make him uncomfortable, so she hesitated. However, her brother Xingyang was a straightforward person. The words jumped out of his mouth. Xin angrily glared at Xingyang. Su Yun smiled. Is it just a small matter? Haha, it's not a big deal. You don't have to worry. Xin saw this and immediately changed the topic. Big Brother Su Yun, are you also going to participate in the tournament? Yes. But aren't you only a 6th stage spirit novice disciple? Xin cautiously said. Yes. Big Brother Su Yun, a 6th stage spirit novice disciple participating in this tournament is simply looking for a beating. I think you should quickly give up the tournament and go home. Xingyang honestly said. Idiot, what are you talking about? Xin could not help but kick Xingyang's knee. Xingyang immediately clutched his knee in pain. Ouch, 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 ouch. After a while, he regained his senses and hurriedly smiled. Big Brother Su Yun, I didn't mean that. I meant that this. Su Yun understood that Xingyang was doing this for his own good, so he was not angry and frankly said, I am no longer a 6th stage spirit novice disciple. Not a 6th stage spirit novice disciple? The brother and sister looked at each other, then closed their eyes and felt the spirit aura exuding from Su Yun's body. Su Yun deliberately hid his aura and released it. When the two felt the aura, they were suddenly taken aback. Such a strong spirit aura. Xingyang was speechless. Big Brother Su Yun, you finally broke through? Xin cried tears of joy, as if she was the one who broke through. It seems that you are not just a 7th stage spirit novice disciple. I am afraid you are the same as us, 8th stage spirit novice disciple. That's great, Big Brother Su Yun. Your cultivation has finally recovered. Looking at the smiling faces of the brother and sister, Su Yun's heart could not help but feel warm. Perhaps in addition to Qing Er, there were other people in this world who cared about him. With a cultivation of 8th stage, we should strive to enter the top 200 and become a disciple of the Su family's inner sect. Big Brother Su Yun, you have to work hard. Rest assured, sister, I will definitely enter the top 200. Xingyang clenched his fists and swore. I hope we do not meet the inner sect disciples. God, let us not be so unlucky. Xin closed her eyes and silently prayed. Dang! At this time, a loud sound came from the center of the square. Everyone in the square turned their eyes to the center of the square. Chapter 24. In the resting area of the inner sect. The inner sect disciples all stood up and walked out of the resting area. A large amount of blue light burst out from the square. The light turned into light bricks and light railings and quickly pieced together. After a while, a huge battle platform was formed. The battle platform was close to each other. There were more than 300 of them. After all, there were nearly 10,000 people participating in the competition. Moreover, half of the contestants had to be screened out within 3 days. Naturally, there would be more duels. Everyone, retreat 5 meters away from the battle platform. At this time, a burly man with a dark and ferocious-looking face stood up from the stands and shouted loudly. The outer sect disciples immediately retreated in unison, while the inner sect disciples leisurely strolled out. The battle platform area in the center of the square was immediately emptied. Next, let's welcome the intersex military deacon, Master Su Chang. Let's welcome the intersex teacher, Master Su Bai. Let's welcome, the burly man shouted his name over and over again. Then, a group of people dressed in luxurious clothes walked in through the gap in the corner of the square. These were the intersex top management, Su Shilong's future. They walked to the platform and sat on comfortable chairs. They ate spirit fruits and watched the competition. The attendants were fanning them with umbrellas. They were leisurely and comfortable. Strength determined status, and status determined treatment. Everyone was present. The man's face was red from shouting, but he still had one last sentence. A large number of people looked at him. A deep and hoarse voice reverberated throughout the entire square. It's noon. All participating disciples of the Su family, please draw your battle number. The Su family's disciple selection competition officially begins. As the voice fell, the deep bell sound reverberated again. It rang 3 times before it stopped. The entire square was boiling. The inner and outer sect disciples lined up and went to the battle number drawing point to draw their own battle number. After obtaining the battle number, they would activate the mini array on the battle number and pair it with themselves. Then, they could rest and prepare. The battle platform would randomly draw 2 different battle numbers. There was a chi eye inside the battle platform. When the battle number was determined, the chi eye would release a colorful profound spirit chi to announce the battle number. The contestant with the battle number would then go to the battle platform with their battle number. Su Yun drew the battle number and glanced at it. 998. First round. First battle platform. Number 1795 vs number 821. Che, so it's just a 6th-stage spirit novice disciple, boring. Pa 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 ah. A blood-curdling scream rang out. Dang. First battle platform. Contestant number 1795 wins. Second battle platform. Number 417 vs number 2777. Third formation platform. Number 5129 versus number 3783. The fourth formation platform, one by one, numbers appeared above the platform. The contestants warmed up outside the platform while nervously staring at the platform. Once their number appeared on the platform, the competition number would turn into a red prompt. Su Xinu and Su Xingyang bumped into each other. In the first round, they were drawn. The two of them bade farewell and left. Su Yun looked at the two of them and saw that their skills were not bad. Their moves were very seasoned. In less than the time it took to burn a stick of incense, they had already defeated their opponent. In the outer sect, Xinu and Xingyang were considered to be very hardworking. They had lost their parents since childhood and had been bullied. They wanted to become stronger and live a good life. This time, they were the first to participate in the triennial selection competition. Perhaps being 8th stage spirit novice disciple was not considered strong, but in the outer sect, they were already considered to be outstanding. The two of them came down from the platform and walked towards Su Yun under the admiring and worshipping eyes of the surrounding people. Brother Su Yun, how is it? Am I very powerful? Xinu said with a smile. Su Yun nodded and smiled. There are so many platforms. I am afraid that in the second round, it will be Brother Su Yun's turn. You must do your best. Xingyang said. Everyone, let's do our best. And the three of them said. At this time, there was a commotion in the crowd. Su Yun looked towards the direction of the sound. He only saw a person wearing a green and yellow armor walking towards him. This person was tall and straight with a high nose bridge and a pair of deep eyes. His eyes exuded a trace of sharpness, especially his imposing manner. It gave off a feeling that no one would approach him. But on the contrary, this person was surrounded by a lot of outer sect disciples. It's Su Nanyi. Xinu said. Who is Su Nanyi? Su Yun asked. Brother Su Yun, you don't even know who Su Nanyi is? Even I know him. Xingyang said in surprise. He is our outer sect's second genius. Second genius. Yes, I heard that the first place is Qiango, Xingyang said. But in the next second, a fierce and overbearing spirit aura rushed towards him. Xingyang's face slightly changed. His whole body suddenly trembled and he had difficulty breathing. He fell into pain. Seeing this, Su Yun's brows wrinkled. He secretly reached out and grabbed Xingyang's clothes, pulling him back. Xingyang was freed from the aura field. He was panting, sweating, and directly lying on the ground, gasping for breath. To be able to force Xingyang, who was an 8th stage spirit novice disciple, into such a state, this person must be at least a 10th stage spirit novice disciple. Su Yun looked forward, only to see that the group of people had unknowingly walked over. Brother, are you okay? Xin quickly helped Xingyang and anxiously asked. I'm fine, Xingyang gasped. But not waiting for him to stand up, a person stood in front of him. This person was Su Nanyi, who used his aura to oppress Xingyang. Xingyang was stunned. You said, who is the second best in the outer sect? Who is the first best in the outer sect? Su Nanyi expressionlessly asked. His eyes were extremely cold, as if he wanted to swallow Xingyang alive. What first? What second? Xingyang was confused. In the next second, he saw a huge fist smashing towards his chest. The fierce and overbearing profound spirit Qi was like a cover covering the top of his fist, producing an astonishing explosive power that made people's skin and flesh tremble. No one expected Su Nanyi to suddenly attack, including Su Xingyang. But in that instant, a hand suddenly shot out from the side and quickly grabbed the fist's wrist like lightning, stopping it. Su Nanyi was surprised and looked to the side. He saw that the owner of the hand had already released his wrist and quickly retracted it. The speed was extremely fast, like a spark. The bystanders did not have time to react. My friend has a straightforward temperament. If he offended you, I hope you won't take it to heart, Su Yun said. Who are you? Su Nanyi narrowed his eyes and whispered. Isn't this the waste, Su Yun? You actually dare to challenge our boss Yi. Do you not want to live? A waste from the inner sect has the face to stand here? Are you reluctant to leave the inner sect? But if you want to enter the inner sect through this competition, the inner sect may not want you. Moreover, a waste like you can't enter the inner sect, so don't worry about it. Su Nanye's followers ridiculed him. They stood behind him and did not see Su Yun fight, so they did not know his depth. But Su Nanyi was surprised. You are Su Yun? Su Yun did not speak. It's a bit different from the rumors. I already said it's just a rumor. How can you believe it? It doesn't matter. Su Nanyi coldly said, this matter will not end like this. I will prove who is the first and second in the outer sect. It is not convenient to fight here. I hope you can hold on for a while and fight me. I will let you know what real strength is. After that, Su Nanyi turned around and left. The group of people dispersed. Chapter 25. Xingyang was still scratching his head. Big brother Su Yun, what's going on with him? I have no enmity with him. Why would he find trouble with me? It's all because of your big mouth. You idiot. Su Xianyu angrily said. Su Nanye's cultivation is high, and his hearing is more sensitive than the average person. Rumor has it that he is a narrow-minded person. Moreover, he has always been unconvinced by Qiango. He must have heard everything you said. Fortunately, Big Brother Su Yun spoke up for you this time. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. After Xinu finished, she once again looked at Su Yun with gratitude. She was also standing behind Su Yun, so she didn't notice anything unusual. She thought that Su Yun was still relying on the deterrence of the inner sect to force Su Nanyi to retreat. As for Xingyang, he was already dumbfounded. How could he pay attention to the lightning-fast moment under his eyelids? Xingyang, when you're outside you can speak a lot, but you can't speak irresponsibly. An expert's hearing can reach thousands of miles away. It's fine if you're magnanimous, but if you encounter someone narrow-minded, you have to be careful. Su Nanyi is already a 10th stage spirit novice disciple. You guys are not their opponents, but I hope that the next opponent will not meet him, otherwise entering the inner sect would be hopeless. Su Yun said seriously. Xingyang and Xian Yu nodded. Good luck and strive to enter the inner sect. Su Yun saw that the two were a little nervous and immediately comforted them. Hua. Just then, the competition number in Su Yun's hand suddenly lit up, and a scarlet-red light overflowed. Big brother Su Yun, it's your turn, Su Xinyue said excitedly. And Su Yun nodded his head, his gaze swept across and turned to leave. Do your best. The Yu Yang siblings cheered. Wait for me. A light word floated over. Dang. Platform 87, contestant number 998 versus contestant number 173. The referee below the stage shouted. Then, two figures walked onto the platform. Look, isn't that Su Yun? Su Yun? The trash that was thrown from the inner sect to the outer sect? That's him. Who is so lucky to actually encounter him as an opponent? There's almost no need to fight anymore, right? Sigh. Why haven't I met this person before? My previous opponent used up a lot of my profound spirit chi, and my physical strength was depleted. I don't know if I can win the second round. Let's leave it to fate. The disciples who were watching from the side of the 87th platform began to discuss. Because of Su Yun, there were a lot of people around the platform. The heavens are really helping me. I didn't expect to meet a trash like you in my first duel. Good. Excellent. Excellent. Ha ha. The yellow-robed man on the opposite side of the platform widened his eyes. After seeing his opponent clearly, he was immediately wild with joy and laughed loudly. Su Yun, hey, I say, Suda, you can't F***king win this. Then you can F***king go eat sh**t. The people below roared with laughter. If I really can't win, I'll eat shit in front of everyone. The man called Suda licked his cracked lips, then smiled at Su Yun. I won't be too ruthless later. Hee, Su Yun, you're my jackpot, I'll definitely serve you well. Dang. At this moment, a crisp sound reverberated through the air. Then, the referee called out. The 87th platform's duel officially begins. After the announcement, the man immediately shook his head and walked towards Su Yun. He did not take a defensive stance, nor did he use his profound spirit chi. This was already an extreme level of disdain. It seemed like he already thought that victory was within his grasp. But at this moment Su Yun moved. He took a step forward. He activated his power. As fast as lightning, all the profound spirit chi that he had been restraining burst out, like a gushing river, rushing out like two tornadoes covering his outstretched fist. What? Suda was stunned. Before he could react, the man had already rushed in front of him. He took a step forward and stabilized his lower body. His fist whistled out and his power poured out in torrent. Bang! The man's chest was hit. He suddenly flew out and hit the isolation barrier at the edge of the platform. He fell to the ground and rolled a few times. Then, he stopped moving and seemed to have fainted. Dang! The 87th platform's winner, number 998. The referee shouted. Hiss! The spectators all gasped in shock. Many people rubbed their eyes, thinking that their eyes were playing tricks on them. My eyes are okay, right? Su Yun actually won? And only used one move? This is impossible, the opponent must be too weak. That guy is at least a 7th stage spirit novice disciple, too weak? Against a 6th stage spirit novice disciple, he couldn't even withstand one move? Could it be that Suda wanted to eat sh*t, deliberately find an excuse for himself? The crowd was stunned and looked at each other. Su Yun patted the dust off his body and stepped down from the platform. The crowd automatically separated and made a path for him. There were no more taunts and curses. Even the sound of people talking was a little smaller back to the square. Xing Yang had another match. Only Su Xianyu was still in the same place. Big brother Su Yun, I saw it all. Xianyu's eyes curved into crescent moons as she laughed. You've become so strong now. The opponent underestimated me too much. Su Yun laughed. The first match was nothing special. Su Yun had expected that he would win. Now, most people thought that he was only a 6th-stage spirit novice disciple. Underestimating the opponent was a big taboo. For Su Yun, this was a very good advantage. Soon, the second round of matches began. On the 37th platform, there were not many people gathered around the other platforms. There were at least a dozen or more. However, this platform had more than 100 people gathered around it. Su Yun was suspicious. He stepped onto the platform. Not surprisingly, there was a burst of hissing from the crowd. Boss, it looks like there is no fight. Not even a little bit interesting. Don't say that. This kid was able to last until the second round. I'm afraid that his cultivation level has increased. He is from the inner sect, so take it easy. A man with bare arms and a bald head shouted. The crowd's disdainful voice became a lot quieter. Su Yun looked at the bald man. After seeing his appearance, he suddenly understood. This person was called Dong Mu. He was the leader of a small force in the outer sect. He was responsible for many of the outer sect's fortifications. His prestige was high and he had a lot of followers. Su Yun looked at his opponent. He had already entered the platform. Sure enough, it was Dong Mu's number 1 fighter, Su Hei. He was at the peak of 8th stage spirit novice disciple. His whole body was muscular and his eyes were fierce. Although he was young, he had experienced many battles. His strength was extremely terrifying. It was said that when Dong Mu had a conflict with someone, Su Hei had brutally crushed his opponent's legs. He had already experienced 2 battles. The previous 2 opponents were all severely injured and were extremely miserable. Su Hei's name had also spread throughout the inner and outer sect. Compared to the previous Suda, this person was several levels stronger. The 2 entered the platform. The bald Dong Mu chuckled. Get rid of this trash. Yes, brother Dong Mu. Su Hei said solemnly, and focused all his attention on Su Yun. Clang. The bell rang. Su Hei immediately stepped forward. His whole body revolved with spirit energy. His overbearing aura pressed against Su Yun. Chapter 26. Whoosh. Su Hei suddenly took a few big steps and quickly shortened the distance between him and Su Yun. In an instant, his aura skyrocketed and all of his power was unleashed. He punched directly at Su Yun's heart. This was a killing move. The punch was powerful and powerful. If Su Yun did not block it, he would either die or be seriously injured. Even if he did block it, he would still suffer from the impact of the aura and suffer from the internal injuries. So ruthless. This was truly the killing method of a ruthless person. However, just as the fist was about to hit Su Yun's heart, boom! A palm lightly wrapped around this terrifying iron fist. The strength of the fist was like dispersed smoke, rippling everywhere. What? Dong Mu and the others almost jumped up. Their eyes were as wide as a cow's eyes. They were extremely surprised to see this strange scene on the stage. Su Yun, who had rushed from the inner sect to the outer sect, easily caught Su Hei's fist with one hand. Su Yun's fist was extremely powerful and had a profound spirit aura. Hazy, did you not eat? Dong Mu shouted. The crowd continued to whisper. Su Hei was startled. He could not believe this scene. After looking carefully, he came back to his senses. However, with this move, he also knew that Su Yun was not as easy to deal with as he had imagined. His own boss and brothers were watching. How could he lose at this time? Su Hei held his breath. His face suddenly became ferocious. His whole body's spirit aura turned to his legs. He lifted his leg and ruthlessly kicked Su Yun. But in the next second, a faster leg had already hit Su Hei's abdomen. Bang! Su Hei's whole body was instantly kicked and thrown to the edge of the stage. He clutched his stomach and trembled in pain. But his heart was fierce and he quickly stood up. Below, no one was clamoring, no one was cursing. They were not fools. Just now, Su Yun's lightning-fast kick had made them understand this trash of the Su family, who was rumored to be, was not as weak as he was rumored to be. He is not simple, Dong Mu murmured. He saw Su Yun step forward and walk towards Su Hei. His eyes no longer had the indifference from before. Instead, there was a large amount of frightening, killing intent. Su Hei looked up and caught the terrifying killing intent in those sword eyes. He only felt his scalp tingle and his heart was actually scared. Whoosh! He kicked Su Hei again, and this time, he aimed for his head, showing no mercy. Bang! Su Hei was sent flying again. The profound spirit chi had almost deformed his skull. He rolled a few times on the platform before he stopped moving. It was unknown if he was dead or alive. However, Su Yun did not stop. He continued to walk towards Su Hei. Step by step, the profound spirit chi in his body slowly rose. That thick, overbearing, sharp, and boundless chi covered his entire body. Formation Platform 37, stop immediately. The referee sensed that something was wrong and immediately shouted. Su Yun, what are you doing? This is a competition. Don't tell me you want to kill him? Dong Mu and the others immediately stood up and shouted. Su Yun, you've already won, so why did you still attack? Stop right now. Dong Mu and the others roared. The people around the platforms all cast sidelong glances. The judge had already opened the array and rushed in to stop Su Yun. Seeing that, Su Yun could only stop. If the referee remained indifferent and allowed it, Su Yun would not hesitate to kill Su Hei on the spot. He and Su Hei did not have any deep hatred, neither did they have any grievances. This was because Su Hei's every move was a fatal one. Since Su Hei was planning to take his life, why should he be polite? However, this was a competition. In order to enter the inner sect and continue his plan, he had to abide by the rules of the competition. The referee rushed to Su Hei's side and lifted his head. He injected some profound spirit chi into Su Hei's body and examined him. His brain was concussed and he fainted, but he was not dead yet. He immediately called for Dong Mu and the others to carry him away for treatment. Master, he has violated the rules. He actually wanted to kill Su Hei. He violated the rules. Dong Mu saw that the judge did not punish Su Yun, so he was unwilling to accept it and immediately shouted. On the platform, fists and feet have no eyes. As long as he did not kill his opponent, he cannot be regarded as violating the rules. This is the rules of the competition, the referee coldly said. Dong Mu was startled. But he just, don't be discouraged after being defeated. Work hard to cultivate is the way of the king. How can you say that your opponent is not worthy of the Su family? The referee snorted. After that, he no longer paid attention to these people and continued to organize the next match. Dong Mu was speechless. Su Yun came down from the platform. Dong Mu fiercely stared at him and then left with his people. The surrounding people looked at Su Yun again. There was no longer any contempt. Many people's eyes actually revealed a hint of fear. These two matches made people have a new understanding of him. Perhaps he should not have the title of waste anymore. In the corner of the competition area, a few luxuriously dressed people looked over. It seems that he has some skills. The leader smiled. That's all he has. The person next to him snorted. His tone was full of disdain. I have arranged everything. As long as he survives the next few rounds, you will meet him. At that time, you can't be so incompetent. Young master, why are you afraid that I will lose? Am I worrying too much? Yes. I hope so. The man smiled and turned to leave. Su Yun returned to Xian Yu's place and saw Xing Yang sitting there with a sad face. When she looked at Su Xingyang, she saw that his entire body was covered in scars and bruises. His face was also bruised. Su Xinyue took the medicine that she had received and carefully applied it on Su Xingyang's wound. What happened? Su Yun asked. I met that guy, Xingyang said gloomily. But just as he spoke, he pulled the wound on his face. It was so painful that he grimaced. Inner sect disciple? No, it was Su Nanyi. Not waiting for Xingyang to speak, Xinu, who was at the side, said, Brother fought with him and was defeated in less than 10 rounds. But Su Nanyi seemed to feel that it was not enough. He actually attacked Brother even more fiercely. Brother was injured all over. This is really annoying. This is only the 3rd round and we already met him? Su Yun frowned. Ai. Damn it, he actually lost in the 1st round of the preliminaries. I am really useless. Xingyang clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. He had painstakingly cultivated, but this was the result. How could he be willing? Su Nanye's family is not bad. Usually, he used a lot of good pills. Plus, he was wearing a magical weapon. It is not your fault that you could not defeat him. You can only say that the times make a man. You have to work hard in the future. Su Yun comforted. Xinu nodded. Su Xingyang sighed heavily. Voila. At this time, the token in Su Yun and Xinu's hands lit up again. The 1st round of the selection competition lasted for 3 days. More than half of the outer sect disciples were eliminated. The remaining elite disciples and inner sect disciples advanced. Su Yun smoothly advanced to the 2nd round, which made many people's jaws drop. Su Xinu did not meet any strong opponents, so she advanced to the next round unscathed. The 2 of them rested for a day. On the 5th day, the competition continued. Most of the outer sect disciples were eliminated. The probability of encountering the inner sect disciples was very high. Most of the inner sect disciples were spirit intermediate disciples. Once they met, most of them would choose to give up. Xingyang was recuperating at home. Xinu and Su Yun were waiting in the square, waiting for the number to be displayed. Hua. At this time, the number in Su Yun's hand lit up. Xinu said, Brother Yun, you can do it. I want to go to the platform and cheer for you. Okay. Su Yun nodded. The 2 of them found their chosen platform. Su Xinu cheered loudly from the side, while Su Yun flipped over and climbed onto the platform. His opponent had not arrived yet. Su Yun quietly waited. There were a lot of onlookers, nearly 100 of them. Everyone's eyes began to focus on Su Yun. They seemed to be waiting for his amazing performance. 2 consecutive victories made many people not believe it. Therefore, more and more people came to see. Not long after, a commotion suddenly came from the side. Su Yun and Xinu looked towards the source of the sound. They saw Su Nanyi, who was surrounded by the crowd, walking towards them. Xinu's face suddenly changed. She became extremely pale. She muttered, Is Brother Yun's opponent him? Chapter 27. Su Nanyi expressionlessly walked up to the platform and stood in front of Su Yun. There were more and more people around the platform. Su Nanyi was considered a character in the outer sect. Naturally, there were many people who paid attention to him. I did not expect Su Yun to have some strength. But now that he has met Boss Yi, I think his luck has come to an end. You can't say that. Su Yun did not display his full strength in the previous matches. Maybe he can still fight with Boss Yi. Oh, him? If he can fight with Boss Yi, I will eat this marble in front of everyone. Well, you said it yourself. A gentleman's words are hard to take back. Deal. The crowd whispered. Su Xinu's face was extremely pale. Her eyes were filled with worry. She never thought that Su Yun and Xingyang would be so unlucky as to meet Su Nanyi. What should I do? Will Brother Su Yun be all right? Or should I just give up? Su Xinu anxiously turned around. She did not know what to do. She wanted to convey to Su Yun that he should give up, but The platform had already been closed. The crowd stopped talking and turned their eyes to the platform. After 3 breaths, the battle between the two was about to begin. The scene was silent and the atmosphere was solemn. Su Nanyi narrowed his eyes and stared at Su Yun. "Are you surprised?" he asked. "It seems like you are the one behind this." Su Yun did not think that this was a coincidence. There were thousands of people in the tournament, yet Su Yun and Xingyang were able to quickly meet with Su Nanyi. Obviously, there was something fishy going on. Although the Su family clearly states that it is not allowed to exchange numbers without permission, and has set up extremely severe penalties as a warning, and at the same time, there are a large number of people monitoring the entire arena, it does not mean that it is impossible to exchange numbers. After bribing the person who registers the numbers, everything will be easy. After all, people will only recognize your face and not your number. Su Nanyi coldly said. Su Yun did not say anything. Before, that little brat should have already known what true strength is. Now I will let you know, I will let you all know, between me and Xiango, who is the number 1 in the external sect. Su Nanyi whispered as he assumed a fighting stance. If that's the case, why don't you directly arrange a fight with Xiango? Su Yun suddenly asked. Su Nanyi frowned but didn't speak. Seeing this, Su Yun laughed. Even you know that you are no match for Qiangu. Why would you want us to admit that you are number 1 in the outer sect? Shut up. Su Nanyi seemed to be angered by Su Yun's words. Both of his eyes were slightly red, and he was thoroughly annoyed. He did not speak anymore and directly attacked Su Yun. Since no weapons were allowed to be used in this battle, it was basically a battle of fists and chi. Su Nanyi did not hold back. He clenched both of his hands into fists and clenched his 10 fingers into a pa-pa sound. His profound spirit chi burst out like a wave and rolled towards Su Yun. His speed was very agile and his strength was also extremely great. When he got close to Su Yun, his chi came closer and pressed down on Su Yun's body. If it was an ordinary person, they would not know what to do in the face of this profound spirit chi. They were like Su Nanyi's other opponent. While dealing with Su Nanyi, they had to think of a way to resist the pressure of this profound spirit chi. Su Yun did not bat an eyelid. His body flashed and retreated a few steps, avoiding the pressure. However, Su Nanyi took advantage of the situation and threw out a punch. Compared to any of the contestants before him, he was faster, stronger, and more vicious. No mercy at all. As soon as he made his move, he was ready to kill. Su Yun hastily leaned his head to the side. Whoosh! The fist passed through the side of his head. The whistling sound of the wind and the flow of profound spirit chi was still ringing in his ears. However, this punch was not as simple as it seemed. Su Nanyi was a rare expert among the disciples of the outer sect. His attack and defense were both routine. His footwork was exquisite, and he suddenly appeared behind Su Yun. He quickly retracted his fist and attacked again. This time, it was aimed at Su Yun's back. He cleverly controlled the profound spirit chi on the tip of his fist, and converged it, hiding an astonishing amount of profound spirit chi. The audience only saw a blur in front of their eyes. They simply could not see Su Nanyi's figure. His speed was too fast. Su Yun did not neglect. He bent his body slightly and then extended his right foot to sweep towards Su Nanyi's lower body in an attempt to disrupt his pace. However, this move made Su Nanyi's eyes shine with an ominous light. It seemed that he had been waiting for this moment. Su Nanyi's footsteps suddenly stopped. Then, his left and right knees pressed down and directly blocked Su Yun's right calf. Then, his profound spirit chi burst out and pressed all of his momentum against Su Yun's body. It was as if Mt Tai was pressing down on him. Su Yun's foot was stuck and he could not move. This attack could not be avoided. He could only face it head-on. The audience's breathing suddenly became labored. "Brother Yun, be careful!" Su Xian Yu shouted. At this time, Su Yun also burst out his profound spirit chi and collided with Su Nanyi. Such a scene caused these two words to float in everyone's mind. Courting death. Su Nanyi was a 10th stage novice disciple. How could his profound spirit chi be compared to an ordinary person? Wasn't fighting against him courting death? However, at this moment, Su Yun had no other choice. And all of this was forced by Su Nanyi. Su Nanyi was indeed a master. Every move he made was calculated by the opponent's attack and defense. The whole situation was already under his control. It seems that Su Nanye's strength is not something an ordinary person can handle. I'm afraid this time, Su Nanyi will win. The audience shook their heads. Many people sighed. At this time, bang! An explosion resounded. They only saw the collision of spirit chi, followed by the explosion of a figure flying out. After hitting the barrier of the platform, it fell heavily to the ground. The audience held their breath and closely watched. Was it Su Yun? No. It was Su Nanyi. After the audience saw it clearly, they were suddenly stunned. They only saw Su Nanyi struggling to climb up. His whole body was in pain, but before he could stand up, Su Yun had already approached him. Two fists collided with each other. The profound spirit chi smashed into Su Nanye's body like a hammer. Bang! 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 Su Nanye's body suddenly shook. His profound spirit chi was scattered and he was unable to fight back. In just a few breaths of time, Su Nanye's body had been punched more than 10 times. His body armor was dented and his face was bruised. He tried to maintain his composure and waved his fists to fight back. However, even if he punched Su Yun a few times, it was useless. At this moment, Su Yun did not care about the routine. No matter how ruthless Su Nanye's moves were, he did not care. He did not dodge or evade. He only focused on attacking. Finally, Su Nanyi could not hold on anymore. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell on the platform. Clang. Winner, number 998. The referee shouted. There was silence below the platform. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at each other. No one could believe this result. Su Nanyi, who was a 10th stage spirit novice disciple, was actually defeated. In such a miserable way. What was Su Yun's cultivation level? Could it be spirit intermediate disciple? Thinking of this, everyone trembled. Brother Yun. How could he be so powerful? Su Xianyu felt that she could not think straight. Although she had seen Su Yun's previous fights, she knew that Su Yun's cultivation level had greatly increased. However, she did not expect Su Yun to be so powerful. He could even defeat Su Nanyi, who was a master of the outer sect. Moreover, besides taking a few punches, he did not have any injuries. Su Yun jumped off the platform and exhaled. He felt that the blood in his body was still surging and it was difficult to calm down. Although it looked like he easily defeated Su Nanyi, it was just a coincidence. Su Nanye's movement techniques were stronger than his, but Su Nanyi was arrogant enough to compete with Su Yun. Su Yun, who had taken the 5 Judan and the crescent moon fruit, had profound spirit chi. His chi was not weak at all. Su Yun took advantage of the situation and suppressed Su Nanyi. If Su Nanyi did not use his chi and only used his movement techniques, Su Yun would not have been able to defeat him so easily. Su Nanyi was sent away for treatment. The crowd gradually dispersed. Hey brother, don't go! A few people stopped an outer sect disciple who was about to slip away and said with a smile, "Didn't you say you were going to eat marbles?" A few people laughed. The disciple looked at the basin-sized stone and his face turned green. Many people had already noticed Su Yun's strong opponent. Among them were Qian Gu and the others who had been watching from the sidelines. His strength is not bad. Although Su Nanyi is a simple-minded guy, he still has some strength. I did not expect him to be defeated so miserably. Qian Gu, who had a handsome face and a thin body, smiled. Who does Su Nanyi think he is? Defeating him doesn't mean anything. Brother, you can kill him with just one finger. A young boy with a tender face and long hair said. You can't say that. Never underestimate anyone, especially when you don't know him. Qiangu said. Oh. The boy nodded. On the square. Su Yun rested for a while. He sat cross-legged and stabilized his qi. It took a while for him to recover. Su Xian prepared some clean water and handed it to Su Yun. Su Yun drank it like a tiger. In a short time, he had drunk everything. Su Xian watched from the side and laughed. A moment later, both of their match numbers lit up again. Come on, Xian, if we win this match, we can enter the top 500. After another match, we can enter the top 200. At that time, you and I can enter the inner sect, Su Yun said to Xian. Xian nodded. Her delicate facial features showed a trace of determination. The two of them looked for their respective platforms. Soon, Su Yun found his own platform. There were not many people around the platform. There were only a few people. But what made people scared was that these people were all disciples of the inner sect. Su Yun was shocked. Could it be? Chapter 28. Su Yun glanced at the platform. Sure enough, on top of the platform stood a luxuriously dressed inner sect disciple. This person's body was adorned with many treasures and ornaments, such as rings with emeralds, belts that were faintly glowing. Compared to the outer sect's shabby appearance, they were simply like emperors. Another outer sect disciple, Tian Yuan, your luck is too good, isn't it? Below the stage, a young man with a buzz cut and a saber on his waist whistled, and said with a smile, You bastards are fighting against the outer sect disciples one after another. It's almost effortless. My opponent is always an inner sect disciple. It's not fair. It's not fair. Another young girl with short hair shouted angrily. It's a matter of personal luck. We can't do anything about it. The young men and women joked. The girl became even angrier. Su Yun bit his lower lip. He lowered his head and walked towards the platform while observing the inner sect disciple's aura. Steady and restrained, motionless like a mountain. Spirit intermediate disciple. This was not the same level of existence as Su Nanyi. Su Yun was afraid that even two Su Nanyes would not be this spirit intermediate disciple's opponent. He was not at the 8th stage of the spirit novice realm. Although he had used the 5 Jades pill to greatly increase his spirit aura, the gap between their cultivation levels was not something that could be made up for. He had to go all out. Su Yun secretly thought as he walked up to the platform. The two of them stood still. Get ready, the referee shouted. Su Yun heard this and immediately got into position. His spirit aura began to operate like electricity. This action made the opponent and the audience frown. You don't want to admit defeat? Tian Yuan was slightly dissatisfied. You don't want to? Su Yun said. Oh. Tian Yuan laughed. Usually, when the outer sect disciples met him, they would surrender. However, this person insisted on fighting with him. This not only showed that he was courageous, but also showed that his strength was not enough to scare off his opponent. This was an extremely shameful thing. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Su Tian Yuan snorted. He was not courteous and immediately made his move. He stepped forward and fiercely stomped on the ground. His profound spirit qi quickly gathered and followed his legs. Using his legs as a path, he rushed straight to the ground. Using the platform as a medium, he stuck close to the platform and attacked Su Yun. This was impressively the release of spirit aura. Using the thick and strong spirit aura to attack the opponent. 8th stage Spirit Novice Disciple versus Spirit Intermediate Disciple. How vast was the gap between them? The more it was like this, the more he couldn't hold back. Su Yun thought. Suddenly, his eyes darkened. His spirit essence erupted and released all of his profound spirit qi. A burst of qi that even overshadowed Su Tian Yuan exploded out. Su Tian Yuan raised his head. Su Yun suddenly flew over. His speed was ridiculously fast. He gave up on defense and dodging. He forcibly withstood the spiritual energy attack and rammed over like a train that had lost control. Dong! He released his spiritual energy and hit his body. His body swayed a little, but he still did not retreat. Su Tianyuan did not expect Su Yun to be so reckless. He looked at Su Yun in shock. Before he could even dodge, Su Yun had already crashed into him. Bang! Su Tianyuan's body was sent flying. But, the moment his body was sent flying, Su Yun suddenly extended his hand and grabbed onto Su Tianyuan's neck. Exerting strength in his arm, he did not let Su Tianyuan fly away. Instead, he pulled Su Tianyuan down from the sky and fiercely smashed him onto the ground. Immediately after, an iron fist fiercely hammered Su Tianyuan's lower abdomen. Su Tianyuan's lower abdomen was hit. His face suddenly turned pale and his whole body trembled. This fist, although the strength was ordinary, it was not simple. It seemed to have hit Su Tianyuan's vital spot. The people below were all stunned. Not only did the person on the stage not want to live, he was actually so ruthless. The outer sect disciples with low cultivation could not see through it, but the inner sect disciples below were well aware of it. Su Tianyuan's extremely pretentious release of spiritual energy required the profound spirit qi under his feet. His entire body's profound spirit qi had already gathered at his feet. But after releasing the technique, the profound spirit qi was not completely released. At least 50% of it would return to its original position, and the majority of it would pass through the lower abdomen. At this time, Su Yun hammered Su Tianyuan's lower abdomen. In fact, he was hammering the profound spirit qi, causing it to become violent and agitated, causing Su Tianyuan to suffer internal injuries. The reason why Su Yun suddenly exploded, and even withstood Su Tianyuan's attack, was probably because of this idea. First, he wanted to catch him off guard. Second, he wanted to attack before the profound spirit qi passed through the lower abdomen. Because once the profound spirit qi passed through the lower abdomen, the attack would not be able to cause any internal injuries. This person. Who is he? The girl who called herself Lao Nyang whispered. Not sure. The person next to her shook his head. Isn't the outer sect's most powerful disciple Su Qiangu? When did such a ruthless character appear? People began to pay attention to Su Yun. Su Tianyuan did not dare to be negligent. He endured his internal injuries and suddenly shouted. His whole body burst out with a circle of qi. Su Yun, who was still holding on to Su Yun's neck, was suddenly repelled by this qi. Mystical technique. In fact, Su Yun could also learn mystical techniques, but time was tight. He did not even learn the techniques, so how could he learn mystical techniques? The only fighting techniques he had were basic sword techniques, basic fist techniques, and basic body technique. Techniques could not decide everything. Even though he did not know any mystical techniques, he knew the weaknesses of spirit cultivators. After Su Tianyuan shook Su Yun away, he leaped up and suddenly extended his palm out. Waving it towards Su Yun, he attacked through the air. Obviously, he did not touch Su Yun, but Su Yun was hit by the qi. He was directly blown away and fell to the ground. His whole body was in turmoil. Qi explosion. Great use. The people below shouted. Su Tianyuan coldly snorted. His heart was filled with anger. He rushed forward a few steps and approached Su Yun. He raised his palm and his qi surged. It was like 10,000 horses galloping towards Su Yun's chest. If Su Yun was hit, he would not die, but he would definitely be seriously injured. His palm was full of profound spirit qi. It surged and intertwined with each other. It was connected horizontally and horizontally, creating a large amount of destructive power. This palm could split a mountain, cut through gold, and break through silver. It was extremely easy. It's over, Su Tianyuan shouted. His palm had already landed on Su Yun's chest. However, at this critical moment, Su Yun suddenly clenched his right hand into a fist and took the initiative to attack the palm. Haha, do you want your right hand to be crippled? Fine, I will fulfill your wish. Su Tianyuan laughed and took the initiative to meet Su Yun's right hand. With Su Tianyuan's profound spirit qi, it was enough to destroy any part of Su Yun's body. The fist and the palm collided. The two full profound spirit qi entangled with each other. They fought wildly. The two auras did not give way to each other. They desperately fought. A large amount of profound spirit qi was offset. Whichever side's profound spirit qi was the weaker side. What Su Tianyuan did not expect was that the power of this fist was very strong. It was not like the power of an ordinary 8th stage spirit novice disciple. However, he was not worried. The two sides' profound spirit qi began to compete. The result was natural. Su Yun's profound spirit qi was stronger and more refined. He would definitely win. Suddenly, the corner of Su Tianyuan's mouth curled into a strange arc. Is he smiling? Su Tianyuan was startled. However, at this time, the fist that was still in the palm suddenly turned illusory. It suddenly spread out and then quickly closed. Only the middle finger and index finger were still in Su Tianyuan's palm. At that moment, Su Tianyuan only felt a subtle and sharp profound spirit qi penetrate into his palm. It cut off the most important profound spirit qi and loosened his tendons. A piercing pain coursed through his nerves to his heart. Bang! His palm exploded. The two of them retreated. Su Yun hit the barrier. His body swayed a few times. His mouth oozed a little blood. Su Tianyuan took a few steps back. His body trembled crazily. Then, with a poochie sound, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell to the ground and fainted. Silence. The surroundings were silent. Chapter 29. Was it possible? An outer sect disciple defeated an inner sect disciple, and so fast? If they did not see it with their own eyes, who would believe it? 998 contestant wins. The referee was also stunned for a moment. It took him a while to regain his composure and shouted. The referee's shout woke the people up. Tianyuan. He fought with that kid, how could he lose? This is impossible. The girl muttered. Did you not see it clearly? When this person was fighting with Tianyuan, he suddenly changed his hand gesture and changed the way his spirit aura leaked out. Changing one's hand gesture during a fight is very dangerous. If you are not careful, you will be killed by your opponent. This person is so bold, he dares to do this? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You all underestimate this person. This person is not simple. Although I do not know how he defeated Tianyuan, but his strength, I am afraid it is much higher than what we thought. Spirit Novice 8th Stage defeated a 1st Stage Spirit Intermediate Disciple. God, how is this possible? It is already extremely difficult to fight someone of a higher stage, but this person actually crossed 3 stages. Really terrifying. I am afraid this fight will be a shadow in Tianyuan's heart for a lifetime. A few inner sect disciples in the audience shook their heads and sighed. After a while, they went up to the stage and sent their companion to the healing area to receive treatment from the Su family's medical officer. The news of Su Yun defeating an inner sect disciple was like a fire. In an instant, it spread throughout the entire arena. Immediately, it became the most explosive news in the arena. What? That kid Su Yun actually defeated an inner sect disciple? How is this possible? Don't lie to me! Isn't that trash only a 6th stage spirit novice disciple? Your joke is not funny at all. Nowadays, rumors are getting more and more unreliable. Many people did not believe it, but after seeing the results of the match, they were stunned as if they were petrified. At the edge of the arena. Amazing! Qian Gu retracted his gaze and whispered. Big Brother is definitely stronger than him. The long-haired teenager next to him said. Not necessarily. If it was me, I would not be able to do this. Defeat an inner sect disciple? Big brother, your strength is already enough. But I am about to enter the spirit intermediate realm, and he is only 8th stage spirit novice disciple. If I were to exchange with him, I would not be able to defeat an 8th stage spirit novice disciple. How can he? Because he's cunning and hateful enough. The young man shook his head in confusion. Qian Gu was also patient. He smiled and explained, previously, when Su Yun was struck by the opponent's mystical technique, Qi explosion, he had already prepared himself. Therefore, when the opponent came to attack him, he deliberately stretched out his fist and made it seem as if he was going to fight back. In fact, this was his little scheme. Little scheme? Yes, because Su Yun had already sensed that this person's profound spirit qi was used to moving between his hands. Most of the time, his palms had a lot of tendons and qi channels. If the qi channels were not strong enough, he would not be able to use the mystical technique qi explosion. Therefore, he decided to stake it all on one throw. When he was competing with his opponent's qi, he suddenly changed his direction. He changed his fist into a finger and used the sword-like imposing manner to focus on one point. Sever the meridians in his palm. Severing qi meridians. Yes. Force your qi to a point and make it exceptionally sharp. Seep into your palm and forcefully cut your qi meridian. Once your qi meridian is severed, your qi meridian will be in chaos and you will definitely lose. Amazing! Is it just amazing? Qian Gu shook his head. This person is not only cautious, sinister and cunning, but he is also very familiar with the human body's tendons and qi channels. Otherwise, he would not have been able to accurately sever the opponent's qi channels. This is the most terrifying part. So that's how it is. Strength is not only based on cultivation, but also on intelligence. A strong person should be brave and resourceful, not just an ordinary person. I will remember Big Brother's teachings, the long-haired young man said seriously. At the end of the competition, Su Yun had officially entered the top 200. Now, Su Yun entering the inner sect was already an ironclad matter. The top 200 contestants had a designated area to rest. Su Yun did not hesitate and went over there. However, his butt had not even warmed up when a large group of outer sect disciples rushed over. Pairs of eyes full of worship and respect were thrown at him. Big Brother Su Yun, you are amazing. You actually defeated a 1st stage spirit intermediate disciple with your 8th stage cultivation. How did you do it? Too strong. Big Brother Su Yun, did you know that just now there were a few elders from the inner sect asking for your name? Big Brother Su Yun, can I be your little brother? Big Brother Su Yun, did you find a dual cultivation partner? Big Brother Su Yun, I love you. Everyone's enthusiasm continued to swarm over, but Su Yun could not withstand this enthusiasm. He got up and left to avoid the harassment of this group of people. After waiting for a while, Su Xianyu's battle finally ended. However, this strong girl had many scars all over her body, and her expression was already very depressed. Su Yun was slightly surprised. After asking, he found out that Su Xianyu had also encountered an inner sect disciple named Su Xiaoshui. After fighting for a few minutes, she was defeated. Su Yun could only comfort her with a few words. After all, it was her first time participating. Setbacks were expected, but there would still be opportunities in the future. Fortunately, Su Xianyu was an optimistic person. After feeling down for a while, she recovered. After knowing that Su Yun defeated an inner sect disciple, Su Xianyu was shocked for a long time. Immediately, Su Xianyu pulled Su Yun and ran back home. They went to the market to buy some good food. They called Su Xingyang, who was still recuperating, and the three of them celebrated. After defeating an inner sect disciple, Su Yun was destined to enter the top 200. The Yu Yang siblings did not expect Su Yun's strength to be so strong. After Su Yun was reborn, he did not like to drink. In addition, Su Xingyang was still injured, so the three of them ate happily and stopped. The next day, the competition continued. Su Yun arrived at the square early. What was surprising was that today, the square was filled with a sea of people. The outside of the square was filled with inner and outer sect disciples. Even the inner sect disciples were present. Not only that, but Deacon Su Shilong, who did not participate in the previous matches, was also present today to watch the competition. This was a duel between the top 250. It was also a duel to select the potential of the inner sect disciples. Whoever won the competition and entered the top 50 would be recognized by the inner sect elders. They would have a promising future and a glorious life. Therefore, whether it was the inner sect disciples or the outer sect disciples, they all attached great importance to this. However, the number of outer sect disciples who entered the top 200 was still very few. Including Su Yun, there were only 16 people. To be able to enter the top 50 was even rarer. The number of platforms had been reduced to 50, and they were divided into two batches. Su Yun sat in the waiting area for a moment, and the competition number lit up. Number 5 platform. Number 998 against number 17. Su Yun found the number 5 platform and walked over. Su Kuang. Su Kuang. Su Kuang, you can do it. Su Kuang. I love you. Come on, you must win. At this time, a tsunami of shouts resounded. Su Yun heard this and his face became serious. He looked to the side and saw Su Dongfang in a pavilion on the side of the square, looking at him with a smile. Was it finally Su Kuang's turn? Su Yun lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then, he calmly stepped onto the platform. Chapter 30. I didn't expect you to be able to hold on until now. It's really beyond my expectations. Maybe the rumors are wrong and you are not that incompetent. The jade-faced gentleman, Su Dongfang, had a smile on his face as he looked at the green-robed man who was standing on the platform with his eyes closed. No, the rumors are right. At this time, an arrogant and rough voice came out. Everyone looked towards the direction of the voice, only to see Su Kuang, who had a ferocious face and eyes like a fierce beast, striding towards the platform. Both of his legs sank and he went straight up, steadily landing on top of the platform. Profound spirit chi burst out from his body, extremely threatening. The pressure of MT Tai. This was the feeling of all the people standing opposite of Su Kuang. He was like a tiger, like a giant. No one wanted to be his enemy because even his aura was not something an ordinary person could withstand. Su Kuang. Su Kuang. Come on. Come on. Su Kuang of the inner sect. It is said that this person can tear a beast apart. His strength is terrifying. Looking at this aura, Su Yun is not going to be easy. This guy is just lucky. But with his strength, he is not even worthy of carrying Su Kuang's shoes. You can't say that. Luck is part of it. To reach this point, he certainly has the strength. But let's see if he can withstand Su Kuang's attack. The people whispered and discussed with each other. However, it was clear that the majority of people supported Su Kuang. Su Kuang is so imposing. Good steps. Qian Ji's eyes lit up. This seems to be the inner sect's human-level profound technique, tiger steps. After a few steps, he can temporarily increase the power of his spirit aura. A youth with a tender face said, "Is that so? If Su Yun fought with him now, wouldn't he be at a disadvantage? Oh, let's see if he can see the knack of this technique." And in the northwest corner of the platform, Su Yun, this kid, actually fought his way here. It seems that what he said was true. Otherwise, with his 6th stage spirit novice cultivation, it would be impossible for him to defeat an inner sect disciple. But, didn't he say that he was a secret weapon arranged by the patriarch? Why would he participate in this competition? If he wants to enter the inner sect, can't he just tell the patriarch directly? Su Gui Mu was puzzled. Maybe people will gossip if we directly invite them in. But if we do that, no one will dare to say anything, the follower beside him quickly explained. Is that so? Su Guemu felt like he couldn't think straight. Boss, when we see Su Yun in the future, let's say a few more good words. This brat will soar in the future, and we might even benefit from it. Well said. Dang. The bell tolled. The chatter in the surroundings died down as everyone turned to look at the platform. Get ready. At this moment, the referee shouted. All eyes were focused on the person on the stage. Su Yun stared at his opponent. Su Kwang took a stance and was ready to attack. The referee scanned his surroundings. Beads of perspiration rolled down his face. He held his breath and shouted, "You're not allowed to leave. Begin." His voice fell. Like a ferocious tiger, an unstoppable berserk profound spirit chi instantly enveloped the entire platform. Su Kwang growled and pounced forward like a ferocious tiger pouncing on its prey. No mercy, no modesty. Su Yun lowered his body and dodged, but he did not choose to make a move. Su Kwang immediately used his profound spirit chi to pressure Su Yun and limit his dodging. Then, he attacked again. His hand turned into a claw. His fingertips were like knives as he slashed forward. His profound spirit chi burst out. Profound spirit chi materialization. Someone shouted from outside the platform. This was a very difficult task for the inner sect disciples. It required a thorough understanding of the profound spirit chi and proficiency in using it. To be able to do this, one had to be at least a first-stage spirit intermediate disciple. Everyone only saw Su Yun hastily dodging. Because he was too hasty, his green robe was cut open, but fortunately, it did not break his skin. Su Kwang saw that he was in danger and immediately pursued. He did not give Su Yun a chance to breathe. This time, he used both of his hands to attack Su Yun. His profound spirit chi materialized once again. However, Su Yun seemed to be prepared. He stepped on both of Su Kwang's arms and kicked Su Kwang's head. However, Su Kwang did not panic at all. Instead, the corner of his mouth raised a hint of a smile. He did not dodge. The necklace hanging on his neck suddenly flashed a burst of yellow light. Then, the yellow light covered his head and formed a light cover. Bang! Su Yun's head was kicked. Su Yun felt as if he had kicked an iron plate, but Su Kwang was not hurt at all. He actually used a magic treasure. Isn't this a little too shameless? Su Xin, you could not help but say. Although the competition did not prohibit the use of magic treasures, not everyone had a magic treasure. However, Su Kwang retracted his arms and grabbed the man's calf before he could fall. Then, he used all his strength to throw the man outside. Su Yun was thrown to the edge of the platform. He hit the barrier and fell to the ground. Before he could stand, Su Kwang once again launched a mystical technique. A thunderous roar reverberated. The deafening sound spread throughout the platform. Many people hurriedly covered their ears as they felt pain all over their body. However, compared to the pain of hearing, the surrounding people were even more shocked. This sound was impressively accompanied by a strong spirit chi. What kind of mystical technique was this? Even the spirit chi was attached to the sound? The barrier of the platform isolated most of the spirit chi, so the people below the platform would not be directly injured. However, Su Yun was different. The sound wave attack was impossible to defend against. He had not yet stood firm when he was hit by the sound wave attack. His whole body was dizzy and his feet were unstable. Good opportunity. Someone shouted from below. Kill this brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Boss Su Kwang, you can do it. The cheers continued. Even Su Dongfang smiled as he looked at Su Kwang and nodded. The discerning people could see that Su Kwang's spirit chi was actually luring Su Yun to attack him. Otherwise, how could Su Yun easily climb onto Su Kwang's arm? Su Kwang, on the other hand, could easily control him, break through his defense, and launch the roar strike. This kind of luring attack was very subtle. It could be seen that Su Kuang's combat experience was indeed above Su Yun's. It seems that the situation has been decided. Qiangu, who was outside, shook his head again and again. I was looking forward to competing with Su Yun. Big brother, there will be a chance, the long-haired teenager next to him said. Su Kuang did not relax. Taking advantage of Su Yun's attack, he rushed to the limit. His hand turned into a claw and unexpectedly attacked Su Yun's heart. This was a ruthless killing move. Everyone held their breath and stared at this scene. Before it touched Su Yun, the referee would not stop it because at this moment, Su Yun was still standing. Everyone understood what Su Kuang meant. Su Dongfang admired Su Qing air, and Su Yun was an obstacle. Su Kuang wanted to use this move to get rid of Su Yun and please Su Dongfang. Fists and kicks have no eyes. Although the Su family had taken protective measures, it did not mean that there would be no accidents during the competition. Mistakes were inevitable. Su Kuang understood that if he killed Su Yun, there would be no problem. Su Dongfang would not only help him but also reward him. Therefore, he dared to make a move and he had to make a move. However, just as he was about to approach Su Yun, the person who was trembling and could not even stand steadily, suddenly stopped and stabilized his body. At the same time, a pair of murderous eyes stared at Su Kuang. Those eyes were deep and terrifying, like an abyss, like a black hole. When a human's blood replaced the demon's blood, the demon would not only affect the body, but it would be engraved in the soul. If this was the case, then it would not change even after a few lifetimes. In that instant, Su Kuang felt a chill run through his body from head to toe. Even his own blood seemed to have solidified. Su Yun suddenly raised his fist and used all the strength in his body. He fiercely and violently chopped towards Su Kuang's neck. That fist was wrapped in a dense, profound spirit qi that seemed to suffocate people. Vast, overbearing, sinister, calm. This punch was breathtaking. It seemed that Su Yun's weak performance was just for the accumulation of this punch. All the appearances of being in a disadvantageous position were all for the sake of this sure-kill move. Fooled. This person was not hit by my male tiger's roar. Su Kuang's body was cold and his heart was trembling. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. The fist was already close, and the vigorous power was like a flood that poured out in torrent. Su Dongfang felt that something was wrong. His face immediately turned pale. He stood up from his chair and shouted, "Su Yun, you dare!" But at the same time, bang! The sound of an explosion resounded. The moment the fist touched Su Kuang's head, the profound spirit qi directly exploded. Su Kuang's entire head was torn to pieces as his brain and blood splattered all over the ground. In an instant, the entire competition square was silent. It was as if everything was covered in dust. A headless body was still in an attacking position, standing in front of Su Yun. Chapter 31. His iron fist was still stained with a mixture of red and white juices. The surroundings were deathly silent. Everyone's facial muscles seemed to be frozen. It was difficult to make any other expression. Everyone maintained an extremely exaggerated expression. Whether it was the inner sect or the outer sect, everyone's line of sight was locked here and could not move away. Accidentally killing someone? This kind of thing was not unheard of in the tournament, but a single punch to the head was extremely rare. Dang dang dang! The urgent bell rang. Then, the arena lit up with a red light. A large number of inner sect guards rushed over. These guards were all selected from the outstanding disciples of the inner sect. Every one of them was wearing high-quality armors and weapons provided by the main house. About 15 people rushed over and immediately surrounded the platform. Then they quickly dispersed the people around the platform. Contestant number 998, Su Yun, seriously violated the rules. The referee shouted loudly. The silent crowd was boiling. Many people's faces were filled with horror, surprise, and disbelief. The people who were far away did not react. Who violated the rules? A man asked his female companion in shock. It seems to be Su Yun? The female companion murmured. People heard the news and rushed over. They surrounded the arena. One by one, they tiptoed to look inside. However, the staff had already wrapped up Su Kwang's body. The only thing that caught everyone's eyes was the red and white sticky substance on the platform. Oh! Many of the girls with poor psychological quality vomited. The entire square became a bit chaotic. What happened? At this time, a loud shout sounded. Then, a high-pitched shout sounded. The deacon has arrived. The crowd automatically separated, and Su Shilong, who was sitting quietly in the resting area, walked over, accompanied by the higher-ups and teachers. Su Shilong's complexion was gloomy as he walked over. He glanced around and shouted, "What happened?" Reporting to the master, contestant Su Yun and contestant Su Kwang had an accident during the duel. Su Yun accidentally killed Su Kwang. The referee respectfully said to the deacon. Su Kwang was killed? Su Shilong was slightly startled. He looked sideways and saw Su Yun standing calmly on the platform. Su Shilong's eyes did not have any ripples as he looked at him. At this time, a large group of people walked over with Su Dongfang in the lead. He said with a sad face, "Uncle Shilong, please help me. Su Kwang is my nephew's brother. Today, in this competition, he was brutally murdered by Su Yun and lost his life. Please uphold justice for your nephew. Deacon, please uphold justice for Su Kwang." The people with Su Dongfang cupped their fists and shouted. Su Dongfang was the son of the main house's great clan elder. Although he had no authority in the family, but the great clan elder's identity was there. How could he dare to offend him? Su Shilong quickly helped Su Dongfang up and said, "Don't worry, Master Dongfang, I will definitely give you justice." After that, Su Shilong turned his head and looked coldly at Su Yun on the platform. He shouted, "Take him down!" "Yes, my lord." The surrounding guards immediately moved. "Stop." At this time, Su Xian shouted. "Who is stopping me?" Su Shilong shouted angrily. "My lord, it's the outer sect disciple, Su Xian. Su Xian stood up from the crowd and said with a serious expression, "My lord, in the competition, it is inevitable that there will be accidental injuries. Su Kwang's death cannot be blamed on big brother Su Yun." "Accidental injuries?" Su Shilong coldly said. "How can this be considered accidental injuries? Why not?" The referee was right there, and the thousands of eyes in the surrounding area had seen everything clearly. At this critical moment, in the face of danger, who would be able to easily pull back their hands? If my lord takes down big brother Su Yun today, wouldn't that be breaking the rules of the competition? Su Xian's expression did not change. He could not help but admire this girl's courage. She used such a tone to speak to the Su family's inner sect deacon. Su Shilong's face was obviously very ugly. But the rules of the competition were set by the patriarch. How could he dare to break it in public? He glanced at Su Dongfang and thought for a moment. Then he asked the referee, "According to the rules, what is the punishment for manslaughter in the competition?" "Immediately disqualify him from the competition, cancel all the results, and ban him from participating in the inner and outer competition for 10 years. The referee obviously did not understand the rules and directly said according to the rules. "So light?" Su Dongfang was surprised. The rules were set by the patriarch. The referee said. Su Shilong heard this and his face slightly changed. If the referee said this, then it would not be good. If he disregarded the rules in public and the patriarch heard about it, then he would be in big trouble. He could not afford to offend the great clan elder, not to mention the patriarch. But this kind of thing should be pushed to the patriarch. Thinking of this, he turned his head and said with a sorrowful face, "Nephew, I can understand your feelings, but the dead cannot come back to life. You must restrain your grief." Finished speaking, he waved his hand and said, Give Su Kuang a proper burial, and send some money to his family. My lord, Su Kuang has no family. He has always been with young Master Dong Fang. Then let's bury him. Yes. In addition, immediately disqualify Su Yun from the competition, cancel all the rewards, and immediately send him back to the outer sect. Su Shilong said again. Yes. The guards cupped their fists and then went on stage to announce the order to Su Yun. Su Yun did not say anything. He jumped off the stage and directly walked outside. When he passed by Su Dongfang, he was stopped by him. This matter will not be settled like this. Su Dongfang's face sank. His charming smile disappeared without a trace. It seems that I won. Is the bet still in effect? Su Yun asked. Of course. Su Dongfang coldly said. Su Yun nodded and directly walked forward. But after a few steps, he suddenly stopped for a moment. He turned his head and said, Fortunately. Su Dongfang was surprised. Well, fortunately, it was not you who went on stage. As his voice fell, he was already far away. Su Dongfang's face turned red and white. It was extremely ugly. How could he not understand this blatant threat? Su Yun? Su Yun? Where have I heard this name before? Su Shilong seemed to remember and asked, Is this Su Yun the one who was expelled from the inner sect? Yes, my lord. Isn't his cultivation speed extremely slow? After 8 years, he still hasn't reached the 7th stage of Spirit Novice? How could he enter the top 50? Maybe this kid got some luck and had a breakthrough. The people next to him did not understand, so they just made up a story. Is that so? Su Shilong thought for a moment, shook his head, and turned to leave. I didn't expect that Su Yun would be so vicious. He actually killed Su Kuang in front of everyone. The long-haired teenager in the distance had not yet recovered from the shock, and said with a stunned face. He did not make a mistake. He deliberately killed Su Kuang. Qian Gu said seriously. Deliberately killed Su Kuang? The long-haired teenager was shocked. Big brother, why did he kill Su Kuang? I don't know. Qian Gu shook his head. This person is unfathomable. We have to be careful when we meet him in the future. Yes, big brother. On the other side, Su Gue Mu and the others were already scared to the point that they could barely stand straight. Damn, this kid is so crazy. He actually killed someone in the middle of the competition. In the future, don't provoke this guy again. He is a complete madman, a madman. The patriarch is protecting him. Of course, he can kill indiscriminately. Big brother, we should be careful in the future. A group of people stuttered. Su Yun's move really shocked both the inner and outer sect. His fame spread far and wide. When the outer sect saw Su Yun, there was a kind of fear in their hearts. Chapter 32. Although he had defeated Su Kuang, he had lost the qualification to enter the inner sect. This was the original plan. However, Su Yun did not regret it. The plan could be changed, but the principle could not be changed. Since the opponent had already killed him, he could not be merciful. When he entered the devil sect, the demonic nature was already imprinted in his bones. Even if he was reborn, it was not easy to change. Forget it. Since I can't enter the Su family's inner sect so quickly, it doesn't matter. Su Yun accepted it, but the Yu Yang siblings were different. They kept comforting Su Yun, which made Su Yun smile bitterly. After confirming that Su Yun was indeed alright, the two siblings left. After the Yu Yang siblings left, Su Yun did not delay any further. After calculating the time, the heavenly crystal would be restored in 10 days. He immediately took the limitless sword sheath and quickly went to the shop to find the old shopkeeper. After buying a stallion, he rushed out of the Su family and went straight to Mirror Lake Town. He still had 2,354 spirit coins. After buying some necessary materials and a green sword, Su Yun rushed to the Julian border. Whether it was the Su family, by family, or the Immortal Sword sect, they all belonged to the Sky Martial continent. There were very few countries in the Sky Martial continent. Even if there was a country, it was like the Sioux family or the Immortal Sword sect. It was just a force, but the name was different. The Julian border was the edge of this area. This area was not under the jurisdiction of any force. It was sparsely populated and filled with demonic beasts. At the Julian border, there was a lake of resentment. The lake was dark and bottomless. In the middle of the lake, there was a place called the Heart Island. This place was gloomy and terrifying. No one came here. Su Yun stood at the edge of the lake and looked left and right. He saw the dark lake on the right side rippling. Seeing this, he leaped into the lake where the ripples were. As soon as he entered the lake, his vision became pitch black and he couldn't see anything clearly. However, he quickly reached out with both hands and grabbed a strange monster that looked like a ghost. It was completely black in color. Voila voila! This thing was held by Su Yun's hands. It immediately struggled and the lake rippled. Just then, he heard Su Yun suddenly poke his head out of the lake, and from his mouth came some strange words. After the monster smelled it, it surprisingly did not struggle. After staying still for a while, it used all of its strength and dragged Su Yun towards the island. In fact, the language Su Yun spoke was not some mysterious language, but the language commonly used by the demon cultivator in the demon continent. The demon continent was terrifying and mysterious, and the people of the Sky Martial continent would hardly go there. In the demonic continent, the demonic cultivator's language was the common language of all demonic creatures. Regardless of whether it was a human or a monster, they could all use it. Su Yun simply asked the Black Devil Tortoise to bring him to the Black Devil Tortoise. The Black Devil Tortoise could understand the demonic language, and seeing that Su Yun was able to speak the demonic language, it treated him as a demonic cultivator and agreed. After entering Heartless Heart Island, Su Yun did not dare to enter the center of the island. Instead, he took out the materials he had bought in Mirror Lake Town and started to draw strange arrays on the ground. Inside Immortal Sword sect, in the middle of a floating jade crystal palace, a woman with long hair as black as ink, snow-white skin and jade-like bones was sitting in front of a huge round mirror, her eyes closed. The woman's eyebrows were tightly knitted, and her expression was extremely solemn. She lifted her jade-like fingers and pinched an extremely fine hair with her slender index and middle fingers. With the activation of her profound spirit chi, the hair, which was extremely difficult to see with the naked eye, was immediately wrapped up and emitted a circle of faint white light. Wah! At this time, the round mirror in front of the woman suddenly reflected a dark blue light, and a large number of stripes appeared on the huge round mirror, arranged into a strange pattern. Looking closely, it was impressively a map of the Julian area. The woman flicked her finger, and the hair immediately turned into a blue light and hit the round mirror. Then a ray of light shot up into the sky, straight into the clouds, and the round mirror became hazy, and the pattern on it was not very clear. "Who are you looking for?" A slightly hoarse voice came out. The woman looked to the side and saw a slightly old woman wearing a red Blade Master outfit walking in. Xianli greets the great clan elder. The woman gracefully bowed, and every movement was full of beauty. "Third elder, you don't have to be so polite." The great clan elder looked at the round mirror. "Is this one of your famous techniques, 10,000 miles tracking technique?" "Yes." Long Xianli nodded. "This round mirror contains endless power of the void. If there is a medium, it can easily capture all targets within 10,000 miles. Who are you capturing?" "The thief who stole the heavenly crystal," Long Xianli said. "You have a medium for him?" the great clan elder asked. "During the intense battle that day, I took advantage of his unprepared state and used my sword chi to cut off a strand of his hair. Elder Feng was severely injured, and with his hair acting as a medium, I gave up on pursuing him. Otherwise, how could someone with such a low cultivation base escape?" Long Xianli said indifferently. The great clan elder nodded. The disciples who came in contact with the thief all said that the thief used a disguise and did not know his true face. Now, only you and Elder Feng have seen him, but Elder Feng is still recovering from his injuries. Now we can only rely on Elder Long. The heavenly crystal is very important to the sect, so I hope you can bring it back as soon as possible. I heard that the people from the Minging school also received news of the heavenly crystal's appearance. We must take the heavenly crystal before they find the thief. Great Clan Elder, please rest assured. Whoosh! At this time, the chaotic round mirror suddenly issued a light sound. Then, the hazy image dissipated, and the pattern gradually became clear. A dot appeared on the pattern. The two turned around and their eyes fell on it. Pochi. Su Yun, who was holding his azure sword, cut down a 9th stage spirit novice disciple bloodthirsty dog. He breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to the array under his feet. Then, the array stopped activating. After cutting open the bloodthirsty dog, he took out the demon nucleus inside and digested it. The spirit chi inside the nucleus was transferred into his body and increased his cultivation. Only demons had demon nuclei, and only demon nuclei could be directly consumed. This was also the fundamental reason why the demons on the demon continent were generally strong. They did not need to practice hard, they only needed to constantly kill and devour demon nuclei. Compared to cultivation, swallowing demon nuclei was extremely fast. However, this method was also accompanied by immeasurable danger. If one was not careful, they could be killed by the demons. The array under his feet was called the Demon Attracting Array. The arrangement was very simple. He could adjust the demon nuclei that he bought at the eye of the array to release a demon aura. It could attract up to 10th stage spirit novice disciples. Because of the climate and environmental factors, there were many demons born on the island. The demon attracting array could attract some of the demons here for Su Yun to hunt and devour demon nuclei to increase his cultivation. This was much faster than practicing hard to increase his cultivation. Of course, the downside was that it was too dangerous. Time was tight, even if it was dangerous, it did not matter. After digesting the demon nucleus, Su Yun once again activated the array and released the demon aura. If the demon aura was strong, the demons that were attracted would be strong. If the demon aura was weak, the stronger demons would be dismissive and the weaker ones would rush over. If he attracted more than one demon nucleus at the same time, he had to quickly close the array, dive into the lake and hide, and then go ashore. It was best to digest 10 demon nuclei a day. If he digested too many demon nuclei, he would easily be devoured by the demon aura, making it difficult for him to control his mind. To deal with the demons, Su Yun insisted on using basic sword techniques and profound spirit chi. He tried to force out a little sword intent, but it was not easy. After 2 days of continuous practice, he had a little bit of understanding. Every time the sword elder came out, he had to consume a lot of spirit power, which could easily endanger his life. Therefore, he could only guide him roughly, the rest was up to Su Yun to explore. It was not until the 6th day that Su Yun was able to completely release the sword intent. However, the sword intent was weak and could not hurt the enemy. It could only make the green sword in his hand sharper. Things like transforming the sword intent into sword chi were even more difficult. However, once the sword intent was formed, he would have the qualifications to practice the first sword of the limitless sword arts. Su Yun could not wait and planned to immediately start practicing the sword art. However, the first sword of the limitless sword arts could not be mastered overnight. Using the sword intent to control the green sword was not an ordinary thing. Seems like I should take that thing first before practicing. With that thing, my cultivation speed will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Su Yun thought. However, at the moment it was important to have a suitable weapon. The green sword in his hand was just a defective product. It was not much stronger than the rusted sword from before. It did not have any grades. Speaking of grades, the Sky Martial continent had a unique classification. Most of the treasures were classified as white, green, purple, spirit, peerless, yang, heaven, saint, immortal, and divine. Every grade was divided into upper, middle, and lower levels. Usually, those that were peerless and above could already be called rare treasures, and everyone would fight over them. He thought for a while, then took out the limitless sword sheath, opened it, and jumped in. Clang! The sound of a sword resonated in his ears. Then, the scene in front of him changed. The horrifying scene of the Devil's Heart Island immediately changed to a white jade road with immortal chi. The road seemed to be floating in the sky. It was impossible to tell the distance, but at the end there was a huge palace. The white jade road passed by on both sides. It was a magical scene. Chapter 33. What's going on? The Sword Elder's voice emerged from the Limitless Sword Arts. Who opened the Limitless Sword Sheath? It's me. Su Yun replied.
You?
The Sword Elder was surprised and immediately said, You brat, you are not even a first-stage spirit intermediate disciple. How dare you enter the Limitless Sword Sheath? Are you looking for death? I have already cultivated the sword intent.
You have already cultivated the sword intent?
How is this possible? How long has it been? The Sword Elder was stunned again and again. He could not believe it. Su Yun raised his green sword and activated his profound spirit chi. He activated the sword intent and wrapped the sword in his hand. The sword intent overflowed like a white mist and covered the sword body. It made this ordinary sword look sharp. Seeing this, the Sword Elder was surprised. After a while, he asked, What are you going to do? Take a sword that I can use. What are you going to do? Of course, to kill. Kill, the Sword Elder was speechless. He sighed and said, Well, since you want to take a sword, I will teach you a few. You should carefully look at the sword in front of you. Sword Dao. Su Yun looked at the white jade road in front of him. He saw that the railings on both sides of the white jade road were actually made of slender divine swords. The lines of every sword were extremely uniform, and they contained boundless divine power and boundless sword will. The sword on the road is the child sword. The sword in the palace is the mother sword. As for the 5 divine swords, don't even think about it. Usually, to be able to conquer the mother sword is an incredible thing. Since you need a sword to kill, then, the first sword in front of you will be your target. Rest assured, even the most ordinary child sword is 1,000,000 times stronger than the broken sword in your hand. How do I conquer it? Just pick it up. The Sword Elder said. Pick it up? Su Yun's eyes slightly narrowed as he stared at the sharp sword on the right side of the front. This sword was slender and had a light blue color. The sword hilt was slightly long and the sword body was engraved with a spiraling dragon mark. It looked imposing. Engraved dragon blade? Good name. Su Yun saw the name floating in front of the sword and whispered. He reached out his hand towards the sword. Hey kid, the left one is easier. The Sword Elder seemed to remember and hastily said. But it was too late, Su Yun's hand had already touched the sword. He pulled with great force. Crack. A soft sound rang out. The Sword Elder's heart almost jumped out of his throat. Su Yun also looked at the sword nervously, waiting vigilantly for what was about to happen. However, the engraved dragon blade did not have any reaction. The surroundings were still calm and tranquil, without any ripples or waves. You've conquered it just like this? Su Yun asked in a daze. I don't know. Every sword has its own sword spirit. Their temperaments are different, and the way they acknowledge you is also different. This sword is quite unique. I seem to have seen this sword before. It doesn't have much of an impact. After all, too much time has passed. The Sword Elder said after thinking hard for a while. Hua! Suddenly, a flood dragon's roar came out from the sword. Following that, the engraved dragon blade left his hand and flew into the sky. It transformed into a gigantic flood dragon and pounced towards Su Yun. The flood dragon opened its mouth and charged over with an unstoppable momentum. A sudden change occurred. What's going on? This was only a subordinate sword, so how could it have such a shocking aura? How could this be? This is impossible. The sword elder roared. He could not believe that this sword actually had such an astonishing aura. Seeing this huge flood dragon pouncing over, ordinary people would have already kneeled on the ground and shivered. Su Yun was experienced and knowledgeable. Although his body was not used to it, he still relied on his tenacious willpower to drive his slightly stiff body and tried his best to dodge. However, this place was narrow and there were no roads on either side. To the side, he could not see the bottom of the abyss. Where else could he dodge? The huge flood dragon pounced on empty air. It swung its tail and hit Su Yun's body. However, Su Yun did not feel any pain in his body. Instead, the moment he was hit, his brain was in pain. His spirit instantly collapsed and his thoughts were forcibly dragged into a strange space. Selah. The surrounding space was incomparably dark. Su Yun did not know where he was standing. He only saw that in front of him, there was a huge flood dragon that was dozens of feet long. This was not the world inside the limitless sword sheath. It seemed more like the inside of the engraved dragon blade. The huge flood dragon wandered back and forth in the clouds. After a while, it stopped and opened its big mouth and roared at Su Yun. That mournful roar reverberated in all four directions, directly attacking the spirit and heart. At this moment, Su Yun felt his heart beating wildly. It was very uncomfortable, especially his spirit. It was as if the flood dragon was violently beating him, almost collapsing. He clenched his teeth and guarded his mind. He did not dare to relax even a little bit. Once he relaxed, his spirit would collapse, his thoughts would be empty, and he would go crazy. The flood dragon's roar continued as if it would not stop. Waves of despair rose. Hold on. Hold on. Brat, it seems like this is the sword's test for you. If you can't even conquer the first sword, how can you control the millions of swords? The sword elder anxiously shouted. I can't hold on? Su Yun's eyes suddenly turned orange-red. A burst of ruthlessness seeped out. He did not move even half an inch. He stood in front of the flood dragon, motionless like a mountain. No matter how much it roared, he did not shake. Pain, despair, helplessness, countless strange feelings emerged. He stubbornly held on and did not want to give up. Finally, the flood dragon's roar slowly weakened. The voice gradually dissipated, and the surrounding pitch-black and frightening scene also gradually disappeared. The space around him changed. Su Yun felt his eyes sway. When he looked again, he was already back on Wanxin Island. He felt his whole body was drenched in sweat. His spirit was extremely weak. However, in front of him, there was a slender sword. Engraved dragon blade. A high-level green-level treasure. It contained a strange spirit attack ability. Good. Haha, brat, you have successfully conquered a subordinate sword. Amazing. Haha. The sword elder's joyful voice came out. Su Yun took a deep breath. He stood up and pulled out the sword. The moment his hand touched the sword hilt, he felt his spirit increase and recover a lot. So this sword is a sword that can attack people's spirit. The stronger my spirit is, the stronger it is. Su Yun carefully looked at the sword and sighed in his heart. Don't be complacent. There are still many divine swords in the sword sheath waiting for you to take. As for how many swords you can take, it depends on your own efforts. The sword elder said. I understand. But what I need to do now is to increase my strength. Su Yun said. Without strength, how could he control the divine sword? Taking out this sword was already difficult enough. How difficult would it be for the other swords? Thinking about this, Su Yun's eyes flashed with determination. Holding the engraved dragon sword, he walked towards the inner part of Wanxin Island. What are you doing? Doing some preparatory work. As Su Yun spoke, he leaped in. Currently, the sword intent that was released onto the engraved dragon sword could only make it stay in the air for a short period of time. If he wanted to use the sword to kill his enemies, it was obviously not enough. There were many demons in Wanxin Island. There were countless strong demons. Su Yun did not dare to go deeper. He could only go closer to explore. He tried his best to avoid the demons and searched for some materials. Demonic mist flower grows in places where demonic qi gathers. It can release a large amount of poisonous demonic qi to attack nearby creatures. Demonic split stone can assimilate the profound spirit qi near it and transform it into demonic qi that only a demonic cultivator possesses. Absolute demon tree's branch. Good material for drawing demonic arrays. Su Yun carefully searched. Step by step, he was very careful. The sword elder was confused. He was also an old monster that had lived for a long time. However, he could not see through Su Yun, who was not even 20 years old. He did not understand why Su Yun would come to such a dangerous place. What a strange kid. The sword elder muttered. Then, he returned to the Limitless sword arts. 2 days later, after going through many hardships, Su Yun finally finished the list of materials that he had in his mind. He took the materials that he had obtained from the Wan Xian Island and directly left the island. He headed southwest towards the Gu Xie Xian sect. Chapter 34. The Guju Xian school was an old school that had existed for thousands of years. The spirit aura of the people in the school was tyrannical and fierce. Their spirit aura was inclined towards the Scarlet Star spirit aura. When the strong cultivators released their spirit aura, they could actually burn it and turn it into a divine fire that burned the surroundings. The power was truly terrifying. Everyone's profound spirit qi was different. The Guju Xian sect, because of the cultivation method they practiced, had a bad temper. They had many grudges with other sections. It was said that the disciples of the Guju Xian sect often relied on their strength to bully the commoners near the sect. As a result, the reputation of the Guju Xian sect was the worst sect in the Julian region. Because of this, every time the Guju Xian school recruited disciples, the number of people who entered the school was very small. Coupled with the resentment from other sects, the size of the school became smaller and smaller. But even if the Guju Xian school was not popular, there were still many people who paid attention to it. It was because they had a treasure that made people salivate: the everlasting stone. Rumor has it that this object could increase a person's talent and cultivation speed by 1,000 miles. It was a treasure that every spirit cultivator yearned for even in their dreams. However, this object was in the hands of the head of the school. People could only look at it, but they did not dare to touch it. Today, in front of the gate of the Guju Xian school, there were 2 long lines of people. The line went all the way to the foot of the mountain. In the middle of the line, there was a small team of more than a dozen men and women. These people carried treasured swords on their backs and wore blade master clothes. Every one of them had a golden sword imprint on their chest. They looked very imposing. The people of the Immortal Sword sect. Although the strength of the Guju Xian school was not bad, compared to the Immortal Sword sect, they paled in comparison. This small team of more than a dozen elite disciples was led by a young man and a young girl wearing a white blade master dress and a light veil. The young girl's hair was like ink. Her body was light and graceful. She looked delicate and pitiful. From afar, she looked like a delicate white lotus. The young man next to her had sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. He was extraordinarily handsome. He held a long sword in his hand, and with a smile on his face, he walked forward. Yen Shan, you are the great elder's favorite disciple. You are also the focus of my sect. Today, I brought you out to gain some experience. When you see the patriarch of the Guju Xian school, don't panic. You can show your imposing manner. In front of my Immortal Sword sect, you are just a small sect. The young man said earnestly to the girl, I will obey the 11th clan elder's orders, Bai Yen Shan said softly. Her voice, which sounded like the gurgling of spring water, was truly refreshing. Haha, Yenshan, you don't have to be so polite, don't look at me as an elder, I am not that old, I am called Xiao Xingming, you can just call me Xingming. The young clan elder of the Immortal Sword sect did not put on any airs. He spoke frankly and freely, but his eyes were burning as he looked at Bai Yen Shan. Yen Shan does not dare. Bai Yen Shan said lightly. Xiao Jingming smiled and didn't say anything. Everyone continued to move forward. As they neared the gate of the Gu Xie Xian school, the third elder and other elders were already waiting there. The Immortal Sword Sect's elder Xiao has graced us with your presence, it really brings light to our humble dwelling. Please forgive us, forgive us! The third elder of the Gu Xie Xian school shouted loudly. Elders are too polite. Xiao Jingming cupped his fist and smiled. Today, I am under the command of my sect's great elder to borrow something from your noble sect. I don't know if the patriarch of your sect is here, I would like to talk to your patriarch in person. After these words, several elders' faces turned ugly. How arrogant were these words! This was to say, you are not qualified to talk to me, let your patriarch come and talk to me. They thought that the people of the Immortal Sword sect would treat them with courtesy, but they did not think that they would be so rude. The disciples who were waiting on the side were already burning with anger, but the elders' cultivation was high, so they quietly released a calm heart technique to calm the already angry disciples. Haha, Elder Xiao is too polite. Come, please come inside. The patriarch is waiting for you in the main hall, please come with me. The third elder restrained his anger and put on a pleasant smile. Xiao Jingming was not polite. He laughed and stepped inside. This is simply too much. The Immortal Sword sect is so arrogant? Who told my Gu Xie Xian school to be inferior to the Immortal Sword sect? The disciples whispered to each other. Soon, Xiao Jingming led the Immortal Sword sect disciples into the main hall of the Gu Xie Xian school. At this moment, the Great Elder, the Second Elder, and the Patriarch were already sitting inside. Greetings to Taizhang Men, Great Elder Yuan, and Second Elder Lu. Xiao Jingming stepped forward and greeted the crowd. He was neither servile nor overbearing. The youngest elder of the Immortal Sword sect has come to my territory. I don't know for what reason. The Patriarch Taizhang Men lightly said. His voice was deep and heavy. Just listening to his voice, there was a sense of oppression that made it difficult for people to breathe and their blood flow was blocked. If an ordinary person heard this, they would immediately kneel down. This is only a small matter. I hope that everyone in the Gu Xie Xian school will cooperate. Cooperate? Taizhang Men frowned. Yes. Xiao Jingming said. I am here under the order of the Great Elder to temporarily borrow your precious treasure, the Everlasting Stone. I hope that you will not refuse. After he said this, the hall became silent. It was as if there was no sound of breathing. Taizhang Men was wearing a golden jade yellow robe. His beard was slightly white, and his eyes were like a tiger's. He turned his gaze to Xiao Jingming and asked, Elder Xiao did not say anything wrong? The thing you want to borrow, is it really the everlasting stone of my sect? How could I dare to say anything wrong? I hope that Taizhang Men will not refuse. Xiao Jingming lightly said. Your great elder only asked you to borrow the treasure. Did he not say anything else? The great elder of the Gu Xie Xian school, Yuan Zhenshan, who was sitting on the right, said. His voice was slightly heavy, and he seemed to be dissatisfied. No. Xiao Jingming's voice rose an octave. My sect's great elder only said this one sentence. As for anything else, he did not say anything. So, you are planning to borrow the treasure empty-handed. The great elder's eyes were filled with anger. You don't want to borrow it? The corner of Xiao Jingming's mouth raised into a cold arc. The great elder suddenly stood up and was about to attack. Zhen Shan. At this time, Taizhong Men suddenly shouted. The great elder was stunned. He looked to the side and saw Taizhong Men gently shaking his head. Humph! The great elder suppressed his anger and sat down with a flick of his hand. Seeing this, the smile on Xiao Jingming's face became even wider. The pride in his eyes was very obvious. Taizhong Men calmly looked at Xiao Jingming. After thinking for a moment, he said, The everlasting stone is my sect's treasure. I will not easily lend it to others. Although the strength of the Guxia Xian school is not as good as the Immortal Sword sect, this does not mean that you can ignore me. You want to borrow this treasure? Yes. However, this depends on your strength. What? Taizhong Men, are you issuing a challenge to us? Xiao Jingming shook his head. Although I am arrogant in terms of strength, I am not Taizhong Men's opponent. If Taizhong Men wants me to defeat you, then don't. I don't think I have any chance of winning. There is no need to defeat me. If you can defeat Elder Jinshan, then you can borrow the everlasting stone. Taizhong Men said. If he said this, he would not offend the Immortal Sword sect, but he could also save his own sect's face. Otherwise, if he refused or agreed on the spot, it would have a very bad influence. Although on the surface he said he would borrow it, it was no different from taking it. But for the sake of the sect, he had to compromise. However, Xiao Jingming had a trace of disdain in his smile. He looked at the great elder and chuckled. His eyes flashed a trace of disdain. Elder Yuan is not my opponent. I think we should not duel. Hateful, you. Yuan Zhenshan heard this and almost exploded on the spot. However, Xiao Jingming simply ignored him and directly said, Today, I am not the only one here. My sect's great elder's beloved disciple by Yen Shan is also here. Yen Shan's talent is extraordinary, and she has received the great elder's teachings. Her strength has reached a certain level. How about this, you randomly find a disciple to fight with her. If she wins, then we will borrow the everlasting stone. If she loses, then we will immediately leave. We will never ask the Guxia Xian school again. How about it? As his voice fell, the young girl who was standing behind Xiao Jingming stepped forward. The long sword on her back slightly swayed, and then she lightly clasped it in her hand. Afterwards, she gracefully bowed to Taizhong Men. Taizhong Men's eyebrows slightly wrinkled, but he did not say anything. The great elder snorted. Do you really think there is no one in the Guxia Xian school? Whether there is anyone or not, we will know after we fight. Whether it is your elite disciple or direct disciple, call them out to fight. Xiao Jingming said indifferently. Chapter 35. Facing such an aggressive attitude from the Immortal Sword sect, how could the people of the Guxia Xian school stand it? Good! Yuan Zhenshan immediately slapped the table and shouted, This is what you said. Don't regret it. A word is spoken. Promise won't be taken back. After that, Yuan Zhenshan looked at Taizhong Men. This was a matter of reputation, so he could not refuse. Taizhong Men did not dare to disappoint them, so he gently nodded and said, Since your sect wants to compare skills with mine, then I will not decline. Zhenshan. Patriarch. Yuan Zhenshan immediately stood up. Go and call Linju. Yuan Zhenshan heard this and frowned. Why do we need to call Linju? Go quickly. Taizhong Men said. Yuan Zhenshan looked at Xiao Jingming and hesitated for a moment. Then he walked to the door and called a disciple. Soon, a tall and skinny man in a green robe walked in quickly. The man did not carry a weapon, but he had a pair of gloves on his hands. His figure was slender, as if he could not stand up to the wind, but every part of his body had an indescribable strength. After entering the main hall, the man cupped his hands and bowed. Disciple Linju greets the Patriarch, greets the Grand Elder, and greets the Second Elder. N. Taiwan Xian's serious face finally revealed a smile, and he said, These are our esteemed guests from the Immortal Sword sect. Today they came here to discuss some important matters with me, but other than that, they also hope to exchange pointers with my sect. Ju Er, why don't you use your years of hard work to exchange pointers with them? Yes, master, Lin Ju shouted. Remember, do not insult my Guxia Xian school. We obey sect leader master's order. Lin Ju shouted and turned to look at Xiao Jingming and the others. Is there a problem? Xiao Jingming smiled and gently looked at Bai Yanshan. Bai Yanshan did not speak, she just stood up. Please, please. The two of them walked out of the main hall and came to the front gate of the Guxia Xian school. The patriarch, the grand elder, and the others all walked over. All the disciples gathered around and watched with excitement. At this moment, in an open space at the foot of the proud Bone Mountain, a huge blood formation with a diameter of 10 meters appeared. The blood formation was incomparably complex. There were actually hundreds of demonic creatures drawn on it, and a series of strange and eerie talismans connected them together, forming a large whole. At the end of the formation, there was a figure wearing a black blade master robe. He was holding a demon's heart and continuously squeezing it with his hand, causing the blood within the heart to drip onto the ground as he continued to draw the formation. After the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. Hu! Su Yun gasped for breath, and through the heart of the Kuei-Yu demon that had its blood drained to the side. For this operation, he had specially bought a Blade Master outfit to disguise himself. If someone remembered his face, it would really be troublesome in the future. When everything was ready, he took out the materials he had gathered on Wanxin Island and placed them on the Sky Demon Blood formation. After carefully placing the materials on the table, he began the most complicated and difficult step, filling lines. This caused Su Yun to be extremely busy. Fortunately, he was familiar with the array, and after a while, it was finally over. After a while, Su Yun took out the heavenly crystal and quietly waited. The large array began to overflow with the smell of blood, and it was getting stronger and stronger. What a strong blood chi boy you! What kind of array are you arranging? The Sword Elder, who was sleeping in the Limitless Sword Arts, was once again awakened. He suddenly cried out, obviously frightened. One of the 8 demonic arrays, Sky Demon Blood formation. Su Yun said. Demon sect. You are not a spirit intermediate disciple. How do you know about the demonic array? Who are you? Boy, what are you doing? The Sword Elder was frightened. Don't panic, Sword Elder. I am me, Su Yun. He took a deep breath and stared at the heavenly crystal. The dim stone suddenly flashed with a burst of light, and then the entire stone turned black. The time is up, Su Yun shouted. What are you doing? Retrieving, Su Yun shouted. He immediately took out the heavenly crystal and directly placed it on the large array. In an instant, the entire Sky Demon Blood formation was activated. Hua! The large array burst out with a whistling sound. Immediately, the blood-red lines that were smeared on the ground began to squirm. Bursts of blood splashed out. The heavenly crystal was directly dyed red. Demon transformation, the Sword Elder muttered. His knowledge was broad. He had seen the existence of the demonic continent. This demon transformation technique was not shallow. Su Yun picked up the blood-red heavenly crystal and immediately pressed it into his chest. Chi! A horrifying sound came out. It was as if a red-hot iron had been pressed into his skin. The heavenly crystal quickly merged into his chest, and a veined pattern quickly formed. However, it was different from the golden color of the Crescent Valley. This time, the heavenly crystal actually had a strange and terrifying blood-red color. This aura is amazing. So powerful. Boy, you are crazy. You are completely crazy. What do you want to do? Do you want to destroy the Guxia Xian school? The Sword Elder's voice was trembling. Su Yun clenched his teeth. Both of his eyes were incomparably blood-red. On his forehead, a heavenly demonic blood flower imprint appeared. His entire body erupted with a large amount of dark red mist. His killing intent was astonishing. Senior. Su Yun took a deep breath. His voice was like a demon's. Boy, although the Guxia Xian school is a small school, there are many experts in the school. My goal this time is to become the head of the Guxia Xian school. If I do not use the full strength of the heavenly crystal, I will never succeed. Therefore, I must borrow the strength of the demonic blood array. With this array, the heavenly crystal's full power will be released. In this way I can also succeed. I do not know what the principles of the Limitless Sword God School are, but I want to tell Senior that this is my principle. No matter the means. You are not afraid of becoming a demon? The Sword Elder was surprised. Become a demon? Su Yun was stunned. After a while, his mouth raised a trace of a bitter smile. A long time ago, I became a demon. After the Sword Elder heard this, he was silent. After a long time, he opened his mouth. You have an obsession in your heart. Perhaps if I did not have this obsession, I would not be standing here. The Sword Elder did not understand his words, nor would he understand. If that's the case, then that's good. Su Yun nodded. Senior, this array's killing intent is too heavy. You should first return to the Limitless Sword Arts. You be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, the Sword Elder could not wait to return to the array. Su Yun took a deep breath. He took out an iron mask from his storage ring and covered his face. Immediately, he pulled out the engraved dragon blade from the sword sheath on his back and directly inserted it into the ground. The violent and turbulent spirit aura followed the engraved dragon blade into the ground and crashed into the heavenly demonic blood array. Blood spurted out and flew into the air. It turned into a blood sword and hovered around Su Yun's body. Limitless Sword Arts. First Sword. Million Divine Swords. Roar! An astonishing roar of a dragon echoed throughout the entire Guxia Xian school. Chapter 36. Clang. Bang bang bang. In front of the main entrance of the Guxia Xian school. Bursts of sword light soared into the sky, the ground shook incessantly, and a dull and heavy explosion sound rang out. The two figures intertwined and fought fiercely. Sword and fist shadows mixed together and were difficult to distinguish. The onlookers of the Guju Xian school were watching the battle between the two. They constantly cheered and applauded. The scene was exceptionally intense, and the battle was incomparably hot. However, the elders of the Guju Xian faction had a worried look on their faces. Taizhong Xian's eyebrows furrowed. Finally, dang! A sonic boom rang out, and then the entire ground collapsed from the pressure of the sword. Lin Ju's expression was tense, and his knees were bent. He was almost subdued by the sword chi, and the beautiful girl in the white muslin had already descended from the sky, stabbing towards him. It was as if she was a fairy from the heavens. Her magnificent figure made it hard for the disciples of the Guxia Xian school to forget. Although Lin Ju had a pair of iron fists, he was no match for the terrifying sword pressure. He was unable to move his body, and was unable to dodge the attack. Lin Ju's eyes widened as he stared at the incoming sword. His face was filled with terror. Just then, the sword tip turned. Bai Yen Shan suddenly changed her sword stance, her graceful body flipped, she raised her leg and kicked towards Lin Ju's chest. Bang! The genius disciple of the Guxia Xian school was kicked to the ground, and his face fell to the ground. Brother Lin Ju! The surrounding disciples exclaimed. All of the elders present had ugly expressions on their faces. Taizhong Xian's face was especially gloomy, and a flickering anger finally appeared in his eyes. Bai Yen Shan's legs lightly tapped on the ground, and like a feather, she landed on the ground. Her beautiful face did not have any ripples. With a wave of her hand, she sheathed her sword, looking extremely confident. She took a few steps forward, bowed lightly and said lightly, "Thank you for letting me win." Lin Ju clenched his teeth so hard that they almost broke. He crawled up and stared angrily at Bai Yen Shan. He took a deep breath and cupped his fist. He then turned and kneeled in front of Tai Zhang Men and kowtowed. This disciple is useless, please punish me, sect leader. I personally taught you, received your divine arts, and imparted you a divine pill. But today, you made me lose all face and ruined my sect's reputation. You trash. Taiwan Xian's voice was extremely cold. Come, take him away and lock him up. Yes, sect leader. The elite disciples on both sides immediately walked over. Sect master, this isn't too appropriate, right? The second elder was taken aback, and then he hurriedly said, Sect master, Lin Ju is your disciple. He has only cultivated for a few years, and he became a spirit cultivator too early. It's normal for him to lose to others. Plus, winning and losing are common in battles. He not only made my Guxia Xian school lose face, but he also made my Guxia Xian school lose its most precious treasure, the everlasting stone. How can I forgive him? Take him away. Taiwan Xian roared. Yes. The elite disciple didn't waste any more time and led Lin Ju away. Lin Ju, on the other hand, did not resist. His face was ashen as he allowed himself to be dragged. Xiao Jingming saw all of this, but he did not stop them. Instead, he chuckled and said, Tai Zhang Men, it is inconvenient for me to ask about your noble sect's matters. However, I have an agreement with your noble sect, so I ask Tai Zhang Men to hand over the everlasting stone to me. Don't go back on your words. Tai Zhang Men did not utter a word. In front of so many disciples, how could he hand over the sect's most precious treasure? Once he handed it over, what would these disciples think? But if he did not hand it over, then he would offend the Immortal Sword sect. Then, the Immortal Sword sect would have a reason to snatch it from him. At that time, he would not only lose the everlasting stone, but he was afraid that the entire Guxia Xian school would also have to pay the price. Which was more important? Tai Zhang Men, are you going to go back on your words? Elder Xiao, don't be anxious. This matter is of great importance, we need to discuss it first. At this time, the second elder suddenly opened his mouth and used the delaying tactic. But it was obviously useless. But then he heard Xiao Jingming speak again. To tell you the truth, this everlasting stone is borrowed to give to my Immortal Sword sect's outstanding disciple, Bai Yen Shan. This matter is very important to my sect's Grand Elder. If you do not hand it over, I am afraid that the Grand Elder will be extremely angry. These words were a real threat. The anger in Tai Zhang Men's eyes became more and more intense. In front of so many disciples, he still dared to say such words. What did he, Xiao Jingming, actually put me in? Although Tai Zhang Men's cultivation level was high, but because of his cultivation method, if he could endure it, then it would be fine. But if he could not endure it, then it would be extremely terrifying. He glanced at the Grand Elder and saw that he could not endure it any longer. He bowed his head and began to think. Obviously, it was impossible for him to hand over the everlasting stone in front of everyone. There was only one reason: Xiao Jingming did not give him a way out. If he handed it over, then it would be a compromise. In this way, the Guxia Xian school would be completely destroyed. At this moment, the beautiful girl who was wearing a veil stepped forward a few steps and gracefully bowed respectfully. Tai Zhang Men, Yen Shan has something to say. I ask Tai Zhang Men to listen to me. Speak. Tai Zhang Men coldly said. Thank you, Tai Zhang Men. Bai Yen Shan's crisp and sweet voice came out. She looked around and immediately opened her cherry lip. Although the continent is peaceful, but in this tranquility, there are many hidden dangers. In our Julian area, in the west of the Ming Xian country, in the south of the Swallowing Heavens sect, there are many demonic areas. These areas are barren, without the slightest bit of life. Instead, there are countless demons. According to my master's analysis, these demonic areas are all contaminated by the demon heart seeds, and these seeds all come from the demon continent. Demon continent. Everyone was startled. How is this possible? Oh my God, is the existence of the demon continent ready to move again? The disciples on the scene panicked. Seeing this, Bai Yen Shan immediately continued, because of this, my teacher hopes that we can prepare as soon as possible. To be honest, Taizhong Men, Yen Shan's physique is special. It is a body that is rarely seen in 100 years. It has the ability to restrain evil spirit. Therefore, my teacher has carefully cultivated me. Today, I have come to borrow the everlasting stone for the sake of the sky martial continent. I hope that Taizhong Men's heart is filled with the spirit of the sky martial continent. I hope that Taizhong Men will temporarily lend this precious everlasting stone to Yen Shan. Yen Shan can swear that once Yen Shan enters the spirit soul realm, she will personally return it to the Guxia Xian school. After her voice fell, the girl once again bowed. Her movements were respectful and not the slightest bit artificial. Her words, her actions, and even her voice were all natural. Everyone's mind was infected by her. When the disciples saw this, they all raised their blazing eyes and looked at Taizhong Men, as if they were expecting something. Taizhong Men was somewhat stunned. He pursed his lips but did not say anything. This child is not ordinary. The second elder sighed and shook his head. If you say it like this, it is really brilliant. She not only gave us a way out of this embarrassing situation, but also made us unable to refuse. Otherwise, our Guju Xian school would not only be attacked by the Immortal Sword sect, but I am afraid that we would also be spurned by the other sections. Even our disciples would leave because of this. Compared to her words, Xiao Jingming's words are a level lower. Patriarch. The elders all looked at each other, waiting for a decision. Taizhong Men fiercely took a deep breath. Finally, he nodded his head with difficulty. Seeing this, Bai Yen Shan slightly pursed her lips and raised a curve. However, this curve could not be seen by anyone. Taizhong Men took a deep breath, glanced around, made a decision, and loudly shouted, "For the safety of the sky martial continent, I agree to give the everlasting stone." Roar! Just as Taizhong Men was about to announce that he would lend the everlasting stone to the Immortal Sword sect, a shrill and terrifying roar of a dragon reverberated throughout the entire Guju Xian mountain. Then, the demonic qi exploded, and the air was instantly filled with a strong smell of blood. A large number of blood swords flew in the air. A man wearing a black blade master robe that was stained with a large amount of blood, wearing an iron mask, and holding a slender sword, leaped into the air and rushed straight towards Taizhong Men. Tens of thousands of swords flew together, and the demonic qi filled the air. Such a scene shocked everyone. Chapter 37. Who are you? Taizhong Xian shouted. Hand over the everlasting stone and I will spare your life. The black sword-clothed man shouted as he wrapped his sword in a bloody aura. His aura was like a storm. Another person who wants to take the everlasting stone, humph. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Taizhong Men's feet stepped on the ground, causing the ground to tremble. He then waved his fists and his body suddenly ignited with an endless fierce flame, burning the sky. The surrounding elders were forced to retreat, not daring to approach. As the blade master clothed man approached, he immediately waved his fists and punched towards him. His fists burst out two cheetahs made of flames, directly hitting the man. The flaming cheetahs moved in the air, their speed was so fast that it made people's hair stand on end. However, the man did not panic. He raised his sword and then fell down, cutting the flaming cheetahs into pieces. As the sword pressed down, endless astonishing sword pressure came crashing down like a falling mountain. Taizhong Xian's eyes congealed. He took a deep breath and raised his arms to receive the sword. King Chong. The iron fist met the sword, with him as the center, an unstoppable wave of air burst out. The ground shattered and the entire Gu mountain violently trembled. A large number of creatures on the mountain were crawling on the ground, trembling. The surrounding disciples were swaying, unable to stand firm. Even Bai Yen Shan's face was pale as she looked at the sudden visitor in surprise. Who is this person? How dare he come here to snatch the everlasting stone? Yen Shan, are you okay? Xiao Jingming urged his profound spirit qi to stabilize his body. He quickly approached Bai Yen Shan and asked with concern. Bai Yen Shan shook her head. 11th Elder, Yen Shan is fine. However, we must take back the everlasting stone. This person is very strong, we cannot just stand by and watch. Rest assured, with me here, how could he dare to act rashly? Yen Shan, quickly lead the disciples out of the mountain, do not get hurt. Xiao Jingming snorted, and with a twist of his hand, a slender sword appeared in his hand, resembling a whip. But, not waiting for him to make a move, the other party seemed to be aware of his condensed sword intent. The crazily dancing blood swords in the sky seemed to be guided by something and unexpectedly flew towards the sword. The stench of blood filled the air and a baleful aura soared into the heavens. In that instant, the temperature in this area suddenly dropped by 30%. Xiao Jingming could be considered a master in his own right, but he had never seen nearly 1,000 blood swords flying together. His expression changed drastically, and he quickly dodged to the side. Is this the Imperial Sword technique? Bai Yen Shan and the other Immortal Sword sect disciples were stunned. But if it was the Imperial Sword technique, how could he control so many swords at the same time and use them to injure the enemy? The blood swords dashed around chaotically, rushing straight towards Xiao Jingming. The rustling sword intent caused everyone's blood vessels to swell. It was extremely unbearable. Xiao Jingming's face was filled with shock. He waved the soft sword in his hand, and a layer of pale white sword qi enveloped him tightly. The blood sword seemed to have transformed into a tornado. Thousands of swords collided with it at the same time, bouncing off the sword shield. However, their attacks did not stop. They turned around in the air and attacked again, not stopping until one of them was dead. Xiao Jingming was completely enveloped by the blood swords, and it was almost impossible for him to resist. This person is so strong. Who is he? It can control so many swords. Bai Yen Shan's eyes were filled with passion. She was a martial arts fanatic. Ever since she was born, she had always looked forward to the pinnacle of spirit cultivation. She worshipped the strong. She thought that the Immortal Sword sect was a place where the strong gathered. The head of the Immortal Sword sect was the strongest in the entire Julian district. Even the elders under his command were peak existences. She never expected that today's appearance would actually make Xiao Jingming, a peerless genius elder of the Immortal Sword sect, unable to fight back. Most importantly, he was just casually attacking Xiao Jingming. His real target was the Gu Xie School's Taizhang Xin. Who is he? Bai Yen Shan tightly stared at the man. Her heart was frantically asking, but no one could give her an answer. At the moment, Taizhang Men was very uncomfortable. The man's strength was very strong, very strange. In particular, his profound spirit qi was not strong, but it was mixed with an inexplicable sense of violence. Profound spirit qi had different attributes. Those who were good at using water techniques would have a gentle and calm spirit qi. For example, Taizhang men, who were good at using fire techniques, would have a violent and fanatical spirit qi. But the opponent's profound spirit qi was actually a kind of vicious and unrelenting spirit qi. When they attacked, they were completely reckless. They would rather injure the enemy by 1,000 and injure themselves by 800. The fierce were afraid of the stupid, and the stupid were afraid of the reckless. That was probably the case. Taizhang Men's feet sunk into the mud. Then, he raised his body and the tip of the sword suddenly rose up. A blood-red sword darted out from under his armpit and pierced towards Taizhang Men at high speed. Taizhang Men's heart palpitated with fear. He let out a thunderous roar, monstrous wrath. The crimson flame soared to the sky, and a roaring pillar of fire erupted. With Tai Zhongmen as the center, it raged in all four directions. The entire Guju Xian school seemed to have been thrown into a furnace. The temperature rapidly rose, and the people of the school were forced to leave the school. The elders were also not feeling good, and they all retreated. Looking at the flame that soared to the sky, even if they wanted to go and help, they could not get close. But inside the Guju Xian school, a large number of elite disciples rushed over. They surrounded the area, waiting for the opportunity to attack. The eruption of flames lasted for a full 10 breaths of time before stopping. When it was over, an existence with crimson skin and a suit of flaming armor appeared. He raised his eyes and stared at the man who was floating in the air and standing on a blood sword. His eyes were filled with endless anger. "I don't know who you are, but the technique you use is so dark and evil. You must be from the demon continent. Thief, quickly surrender, or I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left." "Good," the iron-masked man responded, and then his body flew into the sky. His sword was level, and he rushed forward in a line. He had actually imitated the heaven-flying immortal that Bai Yen Shan had used to defeat Lin Ju, and rushed towards Tai Zhongmen. "Ha ha ha ha! Do you think I am as useless as that waste Lin Ju? If you want to defeat me from above, you are simply seeking your own death. I will let you see my Guju Xian school's most powerful technique, burning wrath of the heavens." With that said, Tai Zhongmen let out a furious roar. His entire body was ignited with flames that reached a height of 3 meters. Following that, his entire body was ignited with profound spirit chi. Endless flames rushed into the blue dome of heaven. The blazing sun in the sky was actually afraid of the raging flames that erupted, and dimmed by 30%. The flame turned into a fire dragon, and rushed forward to kill. This attack was magnificent. The people who were far away looked towards the Guju Xian school, and saw a huge fire dragon soar to the sky. Countless people were stupefied. It was like a miracle, but the iron-masked man, who was holding the engraved dragon blade, suddenly reached out his hand and grabbed the blood sword that was rushing towards him. His entire body flew above Tai Zhongmen. Tai Zhongmen was startled. But in the blink of an eye, the sky suddenly darkened, and everything around him turned into nothingness. Then, a large amount of dark clouds gathered around him, and in the middle of the dark clouds, a huge ferocious dragon suddenly appeared. Roar! The roar of the dragon reverberated through the air. Tai Zhongmen hurriedly retreated. Staring at the ferocious dragon, he was not afraid. Instead, he let out a roar and shattered the spiritual attack. The surrounding pitch-black world dissipated, the dark clouds dispersed, and the dragon disappeared. Everything returned to normal. However, poochie 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 poochie. The sound of flesh being pierced resounded. Tai Zhongmen's whole body trembled a few times. His eyes widened. He looked down at his own body, only to see dozens of blood swords piercing through his chest. "This is a blood sword?" Tai Zhongmen was stunned. "How is this possible? If there was any killing intent from the sword, I would have been aware of it. Why is it like this?" He struggled to turn his head, only to see Xiao Jingming standing 2 to 3 meters away from him, looking at him. At this moment, he was still holding the soft sword, supporting the sword cover. Tai Zhongmen opened his mouth with difficulty, but found it difficult to say a word. I didn't mean it. These swords were originally meant to kill me, but I don't know why they suddenly went to kill you." Xiao Jingming touched the back of his head and awkwardly said. You. Tai Zhongmen still wanted to say something, but suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. A cold and mournful sword flashed, and Tai Zhongmen's head was instantly chopped off. Then, the person reached out and quickly dug into Tai Zhongmen's chest, taking away a jade-like divine pendant. "Everlasting stone." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.